Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome back to Gorman on Gore, a podcast about horror films. With me, once again, is my co-host, Jacob. Say hello, Jacob.
Who, me?
And how are you this fine January evening?
Doing alright. Had some pizza earlier. It was pretty good.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I don't know. It's alright. You know.
I mean, for the listeners at home, we're still technically in lockdown, I guess. So, yeah, there's only so much we can do, really.
I mean, I'm in San Francisco, so there's no, technical here.
Yeah, that's the other thing. For those of you in the audience who don't know, Jacob and I are in entirely different states of the left coast.
Please forgive us.
Yeah. So I record in a suburb a bit north of Seattle, Washington. That's Washington State, not Washington, D.C. And as Jacob said, he records his stuff in San Francisco, California.
Yep. Not like downtown, but, I'm in the area.
Are you?
Yeah.
Huh, that's cool. You just sent me some pictures. I don't think I've ever actually been.
Oh, yeah, I did have one. I took a picture of a place that I think was used for an establishing shot in first Puppet Master movie.
Oh, well, that's really important.
So, listen.
It's a hallmark.
Yeah, first of all, I can't confirm that, but second, I thought it was neat.
Yeah. So, Jacob, when you were growing up, you're a little younger than me, right?
I like to think so.
So, yeah, did you ever play the original Oregon Trail?
Yes, but not much, because I was bad at it, and I, as a child, did not try to get good at things I was bad at.
Yeah, those were in the innocent days of computer programs when at least I was very innocent about and naive about the consequences of video games. And so at the very beginning of the Oregon Trail game, you get to put in the names of all of the people who are going with you on the caravan. I think almost everybody the first time, they always put the names of their friends and their family, maybe a dog, that kind of a thing. And then in the midst of the game, I don't know, I'd say almost everyone dies off in the first try. And so you get to watch, your mom go down a river or your dog get killed by a snake bite.
I mean, I think people do that even afterwards. That's like half the fun.
Yeah, my trick eventually was just to ride everyone really hard and then give them too much rations right at the end so they were healthy right when they got to the finish line.
That almost feels like cheating.
Well, it sort of was. And also a lot of people died along the way. So I mentioned the Oregon Trail as trailblazed rather, by Lewis and Clark, because we learned about it in public school and we thought it was this big, impressive thing. And I suppose the land trip is impressive. But I don't know, as an adult, especially when I looked into it more, I realized that it wasn't that amazing because they kept going to places where there was always people already.
Yeah, that would make it a bit less impressive.
I only bring this up because it's the context, the broader context of the film that we are watching today. 1999's Cannibal classic, Ravenous.
I'm sending you to California, Fort Spencer.
We have 4 missing soldiers, Captain, and no bodies. We need a supportable explanation.
Captain John Boyd is about to discover
no one just ends up at Fort Spencer. We come for a reason.
Yours being?
Well,
something he never imagined.
we have a great sense of camaraderie here at Fort Spencer.
This Indian scout told me a curious story.
Winged eagle.
It's an old Indian myth from the north.
Man eats the flesh of another. He absorbs the other man's strength.
Now, one man must choose
We need others.
between having dinner
Not me.
and being dinner. That's so annoying.
Stew a la Major Knox.
Guy Pearce,
I'm gonna kill him.
Robert Carlyle,
He was tough, but then a good soldier ought to be.
That was really sneaky.
You was
Ravenous.
Bon appetit.
Every single way to get to California sucked. I think that's really the thing. Last year I read 2 Years Before the Mast, which was from 1836 or so. And it was about a guy who had to sail all the way around South America to get to Spanish California. And it sucked.
Huh.
And in that book, I didn't realize it when I was reading it, but in that book, there was one sentence where, incidentally, the man Dana says, "Oh, and there might be some gold dust in the rivers." And people latched onto that when they read about that. It was published around the 1840.
Mhm.
It almost single-handedly started the gold rush.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and so almost all of the horrors that came from the pioneering days came from people's greed. It was a combination of trying to sneak around other people. I think the people who genuinely wanted to go to a new place did so in a calm and orderly fashion. So really, some of the worst cases of human tragedies in American history, that led to cannibalism were almost entirely because people cut corners or they tried to sneak around behind other people's backs or get somewhere before they were, before it was safe to do so.
Mhm.
The Donner Party, for instance, that was in 1846. And they were a bunch of professional families, and they used something called a Hastings Cutoff. It's just named after the idiot who told people to go that way, where he misdirected people down the the Salt Lake salt flats. And he was like, "Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, there's no water and there's just salt everywhere, and no one's ever gone here before, but it's like a more direct route to get right to California." And this is, mind you, this is before we owned California. That was the other thing that I was caught off guard by when I started looking this up. We didn't own any of California until basically when the Donner Party was going there, and also when this movie starts.
Oh yeah.
And actually, they weren't even done signing the peace treaty with Mexico in 1847 when this movie begins. Because right off the bat, I mean, we'll get into it in more detail, but right off the bat, they just say that the fort that the movie takes place in, they say, "Oh, it was an old Spanish mission." And I'm just like, well, what, you mean like last year?
Yeah, that's a good point.
We were so presumptuous as a people, even then, just like, yeah, well, whatever. I mean, no one's going to stop us from coming here and just, putting down some land, some claims.
I mean, were they wrong?
Clearly not. So, I mean, who's the judge, since we won and all, right?
Yeah, makes right.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, that's the other thing.
No.
This film starts right at the end, well, most of the end of the Mexican-American War, where we just sort of decided we were going to take Texas and I guess to a lesser extent all of the other western states that were beneath Oregon. I think that's actually why we did the Oregon Trail first, was because that was land that wasn't technically anyone's yet. So like no one could stop Lewis and Clark. But I looked it up, and apparently the Mexican government still tried to stop Lewis and Clark. I want to see like a movie about it. They sent a posse party of like 50 people, and they were going to arrest them, but they went up to, I forget where exactly it was. I think it was Missouri, or it might have been further down the track, but they got there a week late. Like, "Oh, you just missed them. Lewis and Clark just came through here."
I kind of like the idea of some kind of like Inglorious Bastard style,
Yeah.
like historical fiction. Like, what if they like did catch him?
Yeah, just try to undo history.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be interesting.
Let's see if there's anything else in this beginning stuff I want to get into before we actually talk about this bloody and great movie. Oh yeah, you want to guess on what the tagline for this movie is before I tell you?
They eat and they are eaten.
That's actually pretty good. The actual,
No, I'm sorry. That's a Cannibal Holocaust.
is it really?
Thinking of the other Cannibal movie.
Oh, I get my Cannibal movies all mixed up. I love the idea, like thinking of someone, like with a horror collection of films, and they're just panning, like, they're just rubbing their hand over a bunch of titles, and he's just like, "This is my cannibal collection over here."
Would not trust anyone with like a dedicated cannibal section in their movies.
Cannibal Holocaust. I got Cannibal the musical. Oh yeah, also I do love that story of that guy, Alferd Packer, that Matt and Trey Parker made into Cannibal the musical.
Oh yeah,
he was the only guy in American history that was tried for cannibalism. I forget if he was convicted or not. That guy straight up did it, and I don't mean like, I don't know. I don't even think it was a survival issue, because he went up into the mountains of, I think it was between Utah and Colorado. He was trying to sneak into a mining operation before other people could get there. See, because once again, it was a gold mine claim. Him and a group of dudes wanted to get there before other people could. And so they're like, let's just sneak over the mountains. You know, it won't take any time at all. And they just cut through the steepest parts, because Alferd Packer, he was a late addition to the party. He was kind of a tag along, and he falsely claimed that he knew the area and that he would be a guide. So he just straight up led them. I don't think he knew where he was going, and he actually went higher elevation rather than lower. When they found the pile of bodies that he created, he was actually pretty close to his destination, but he was up like on a higher elevation. Like it's like he took a wrong turn. Huh. It's very weird. And all of the bodies, I mean, not to get too graphic, but the stuff that he picked off was the easy stuff. You know, it wasn't, I don't know. When you are in genuine trouble, you will very sparingly do something horrible and make it last as long as possible, and then maybe you'll go on to the next one. You know, like those people from Alive, the Uruguayan plane that went down.
Yeah.
They kind of, you know, they did it in a systematic and reluctant way. We're like, all right, well, listen, we're running out of the pilot, so we'll just move on to this next frozen dead guy. And see, already this podcast has become great. So, so they, you know, when they found Alfred's, you know, the remains of his compatriots, they just had the soft bits taken off.
I really like the idea of a picky cannibal.
Yeah, well, I think it was just sort of like he lined up all the bodies outside of his tent, and when he was a little hungry, he would just go, hey, I'll just take a little bit of cheek, you know, that kind of a thing.
Sure.
He said that he especially liked the breast meat, although they were all men, so I don't know. I wonder if that, I mean, you can't see, but I'm touching my chest right now. I wonder if that's good meat right there.
I would imagine so.
Well, he seemed to think so.
I mean, not that I, you know, speculate about cannibalism and what it would taste like and all that too often.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, getting way back to where I was starting, the tagline for this movie is, "You are who you eat."
Boo.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, like, I don't know, it's kind of funny. I think in a way it sets a tone for the movie. It sort of warns you about how it's going to be silly, in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not super great. So historically, the Donner Party failed in 1846, and this movie takes place in did I say 46? Yeah. And so this movie takes place in 1847, so it's just 1 year later.
Mm-hmm.
And Guy Pearce has just helped win the Spanish-American War, which apparently was an incredibly long and bloody conflict, and it took forever for them to finish it. And people, when they got back from the war, were just wrecks. And Guy Pearce, who plays Lieutenant Boyd in this, is no exception. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he did get stacked under a pile of corpses. That's not great.
Well, yeah. I love this movie because it starts with a big, gross eating scene.
Yes. The most disgusting looking steaks I've seen in my life.
Yeah, I was watching a behind the scenes thing, and they had craft services just bringing out these big, drippy steaks for each take. I think it's because the steaks were going bad or looking congealed after a while.
Yeah, they look like they're bad.
Yeah, so there's this big, what is it? Some kind of a celebration dinner. And and everyone's sitting, there's, I don't know, there's got to be like 100 soldiers. And they each have a plate, and on the plate is a big, drippy, kind of raw-looking steak, and nothing else. I don't think there's potatoes
No.
or anything.
Nope, it's just the steak.
So yeah, it's got a real like strong like symbolism right off the bat. It's like, here's some drippy meat. And right off the bat, you can tell what kind of a movie it's going to be because there's a lot of quick cuts and like uncomfortable looks, and and everyone's like eating, and there's like a lot of mouth sounds and cutting plates.
Oh yeah.
Like the fork on the plate noise, that everyone hates.
Yeah. I will say I am pretty I guess jaded to violence and blood in movies like this. Like a lot of that stuff didn't bug me, but man, that whole scene of them eating steak was gross.
Yeah, it would have been an effective commercial to just try to encourage people to be vegans.
Honestly.
Like, you don't have to do this.
This is what you look like.
Yeah. I mean, I love that part when Guy Pearce eventually, I guess he feels obligated to try some of the steak. So there's just like that heavy breathing, like right next to the mic as he's like cutting into the meat, like.
Yeah.
It's great. And then he just goes out back and vomits and cuts right to the title card, Ravenous.
Yeah.
I was a little confused. I think he is Lieutenant Boyd, but then he becomes Captain Boyd. I'm not positive. I think he's promoted.
I think he is, yeah.
Because there's a flashback where they're yelling for him just in desperation. Like, Lieutenant Boyd, help us, please! And all of his friends are dying around him, and he just lays down like a coward. But I guess he eventually took a Mexican base somewhere. And so he's technically a hero, but they know that he did dirty, so they're just gonna shuffle him off to an embarrassing remote location.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even gonna put you in America. We're gonna put you in the Sierra Nevada mountains. It's not even America yet.
Oh, okay, so a detail I wanted to go over. Okay, that whole the beginning with the I forget who the quote was attributed to.
Oh, but, yeah, there's a quote from Nietzsche and then a quote from Anonymous.
Yeah. I love the dumb cartoony arrow sound effect they choose to use.
Yeah.
When they just boing.
Yeah.
It's like, what is that?
Yeah, and it also reminded me that like Nietzsche is like a favorite of hipstery, cynical dudes in college and nobody else. Because even the quote is just ridiculous and self-serving. It's just like, if you fight monsters, you may become one yourself. Like, yeah, thanks, Confucius.
I mean, I'm not sure I entirely agree with your conclusion about him, but yeah. So
sorry, I'm throwing around bombs. I minored in philosophy, so yeah, I got big opinions.
Sure, all right,
big opinions.
Fair enough.
He was not my favorite. He is really fun to read, though. I will give him that. Of all the philosophers, he was like the insult comic philosopher. He was just talking trash about everybody. It's a fun read. Yeah, but
yeah.
So yeah, there was that first quote, which I sort of loosely paraphrased from Nietzsche, and then the second one was "Eat me" from Anonymous. I would have just had it be the director, who was Antonia Bird, by the way. Like, yeah, I said that.
Yeah. I will say, I guess it's just like, showing maybe my assumptions. I did not realize the director of this movie was a woman.
Yeah, well, it wasn't originally. There was a whole thing about that.
I heard about that.
I don't know the other guy's background, but it was a director named Manchevsky, and the producers hated him. Well, I don't know if that's quite it, but they didn't seem to get along, and they were really hounding him throughout the whole thing. And so he quit after less than a month of filming. I think it was like 3 weeks. Apparently, he would send over the rushes, the daily filming they had done, and they would get notes back for everything. Like, this is too many close-ups.
That seems like a wonderful working relationship.
Yeah. And so they were going to put in someone else. Oh, God, who was it? Wait a minute. No, I don't know. Well, they were going to be someone else. It didn't work out, and then I can't remember correctly, but I think I could be wrong about this, but I think George Lucas helped make this movie. Well, or rather, he recommended somebody. Maybe I'm getting this.
I thought it was one of the actors.
Well, Robert Carlyle. At least, wait, is it Carlyle? Well, anyway, one of the actors recommended Antonia Bird, and they went with her.
Okay.
But I don't remember. Oh, never mind. Oh, you know what? I have to take that whole part out because no, George Lucas helped the director who made Return to Oz, which I looked up the other day.
Oh, jeez.
I'm getting my wires crossed. Yeah.
I mean, it's understandable.
They're equally
very
dark.
similar movies.
That's the important thing. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is 1847, so the Mexican-American War isn't quite over, but here we are. We're in a place called Fort Spencer in California, even though it's not California yet. They probably just conquered it about the year before. But they have a lot of people there who seem well situated as if they've been there a while. And, maybe they did. I don't know. There's a lot of Americans who were going to California. I just don't know about the legality of it,
Mm-hmm.
So apparently the steep Sierra Nevada range in California gets some of the heaviest snowfalls because of its proximity to the Pacific. It's part of how the Donner Party got doomed. They underestimated the early snowfall and got snowed in.
Mm-hmm.
The first scenes are just him, Lieutenant Boyd, him and a Native American guide lady going to the fort. And it's just a beautiful location to shoot for a movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was wonderful.
I love like all the establishing shots look great.
Yeah, I love the very American mountains of Slovakia. Yeah, they filmed in Slovakia and in Durango, Mexico. I don't know. I don't see anything in the movie that looks like Mexico to me. Maybe some of the woods, I guess. But I don't know.
Maybe.
Or maybe there's mountains there. It could. I don't know. I believe the Tatra Mountains from Slovakia are the mountains that are depicted in the movie, but they clearly did something in Durango as well. But I know nothing of it, so we'll just move on.
Yeah. All right.
So they get to the fort, and one of my initial notes for this is civilization never looks so uncivilized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks very bleak.
It's a rough-looking palisade, just like a wooden wall of trunks, and there's just a couple of little rough-looking rude huts inside.
Yeah.
It must have been like getting assigned to work in Antarctica.
Yeah.
He gets led to his room, and the Native American woman, who you learn is named Martha. Martha!
Okay, I'm glad you did it.
Someone's got to do it. She offers him a big fluffy blanket, which looks great. It's the only thing that looks good in the room. And actually, I think this is the moment when Boyd first remembers his cowardice in battle.
Mm-hmm.
With people just pleading for help and getting shot. There's a great clip of a Mexican-American soldier waving around an American flag. He's like, yeah, I took this, yeah!
I mean, come on. Like you wouldn't be excited.
Yeah, I also don't know. I've never been in a combat situation. I mean, I've fought people with my fists, but I don't know what I would do in a firefight. And so I don't know if I don't know if any of us would know like what we would do in that kind of situation, where he already knows he's basically dead. And so he just lays down, right in the middle of the fighting. He's like, all right, I'm going to pretend to be dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow tricks everybody into believing it. Usually most soldiers are smart enough to stick a dagger in the leg of corpses as they're stacking them.
Yeah.
But I guess they didn't do that for him. Although it would have been great if they did, and he had to just pretend to be dead while it was happening. Just like, you're like, let's do a few more stabs just to be sure.
I don't know why, but that strikes me as like a very like Jim Carrey comedy thing to do.
Yeah. A very
like
when nature calls.
Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Boyd is introduced to Lieutenant Hart, who I guess is in charge. I'm not really sure who's in charge of what.
Mm.
Is Knox the most in charge? He's a major, so I think he's most in charge, but he's like drunk all the time, so it almost doesn't count.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lieutenant Hart.
I was gonna say, Hart, played by Jeffrey Jones, the pedophile.
Thank you for knowing both his name and that backstory, because I was going to look both up.
Yeah.
I was going to say the dad from Beetlejuice welcomes him to the fort. He was also the principal from Ferris Bueller, and he was the possessed scientist from Howard the Duck.
Look, you can be all of those things, but you'll always be known as the pedophile guy when you're caught with child porn.
Yeah, and he also was friends with Pee Wee Herman.
Oh God!
So they must have had great conversations.
Wait, is Pee Wee? Was he a pedo?
I don't know.
Or
no, I think that it was just that one thing where he was caught in a theater being a little too free with himself.
It's like barely even a crime. Whatever.
Yeah, he was just too uninhibited. He was a free spirit.
Yeah, like, what law did he really break?
Yeah, I have to say, though, I've never looked up whether or not he even did that. I don't know why he was disgraced. Needless to say, that's what everyone spent years believing.
Yeah, I actually, to be fair, I don't know one way or the other. I mean, if he's just a pervert, then, like, whatever.
He's just a regular pervert.
Well, I mean, comparable to, being a pedophile, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So, wait, what's his name again? Jeffrey Jones?
Mm-hmm.
I keep wanting to say Jim Jeffries, but I think that's a comedian or something.
That is.
Okay, so yeah, Jeffrey Jones, Jim Jeffries. He...
for the record, I don't think the comedian is a pedophile.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, is he that? He's the puppet guy, right? Yeah. Was like the racist dead Arab puppet?
No, that's like a Jeffrey Dunham.
Oh, I'm getting all my Jeffs mixed up.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, I don't want to talk about him.
Yeah, no, he sucks.
Curse be upon his name.
Yeah, if you find him funny, just turn the podcast off.
Well, I do kind of like the old man puppet, but the rest of them, not so much.
Yeah.
Senor Jalapeno. Oh, that was horrible.
Jesus.
Okay.
Like, that's just like, whatever. We're done.
This is not about Jeffrey Dunham as much as it needs to be. It will not be. Okay, so Lieutenant Hart says that this place thrives on tedium. Apparently, he's been translating books from the original languages. But he's so familiar with the text that he just uses some of the bigger books to smash walnuts.
Yeah.
They set up that he has a dagger in his desk, mostly just so that people can use it later. Quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
So, yeah, they mentioned it's a former Spanish mission. And then, yeah, Lieutenant Hart, I love this scene because it's a very simple, straightforward exposition dump. They're just like, all right, there's 8 people at this fort, and here is everybody.
Yeah.
And it's great. There's a nice little montage where you kind of see something that kind of sums up each character in their weird kind of goofiness.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got Private Toffler. He's a Christian doofus. Well, that's the way I wrote it. He's being played by Jeremy Davies, who, if you will recall, he's from Saving Private Ryan. He's Upham. If you remember, he's the guy who wouldn't bring the ammo.
Oh! Yeah,
Upham! I think, like, half the movie is people shouting at him. Upham! Ammo now! Yeah, so that movie was huge. And that movie came out a year before this one did.
Oh, no.
This is what he did after that.
Oh, no.
That poor man. He's wonderful in this. I don't mean to besmirch.
No, but
yeah. Like, yeah,
but oh god.
We gotta listen, Mr. Davies, we have a perfect role for you. We want you to be a dim-witted preacher.
Yeah, if he could be just like a complete weenie who nobody's gonna like.
Yeah, okay, so we want you to sort of just kind of half sing to yourself while you're trying to write hymns and not paying attention to anything. So that's Private Toffler. And then there's Private Knox, who kind of plays a bigger role later. Wait, Private Knox? No, it's Major Knox. Damn it, I wrote that down wrong. I'm just going to cross that out right now. Stupid me from the past. Okay, so Major Knox, he plays doctor. He used to be a veterinarian, so that's promising.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I sort of know what's in there. And then there's Private Reich, who's played by Neil McDonough. He's great. He's the soldier.
Yes. In the few notes I have about him, I have him written down as M. Bison because he played M. Bison in Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li.
I'm sad to say I saw most of that film. Yes.
I saw it opening day in theaters.
Oh my god. I didn't even know that went to theaters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And mind you, audience,
It was
this
like-
is not the good Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Well, no, that one's not good either. But that's the famous one. Now, this is an even more obscure one that came out with...
No, that is,
What was it? When it come out?
that is the good one.
It's the goodest one, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see.
It's probably like 90-something, right?
Oh god, this is like way more recent. 2009.
Yeah.
God, I had no excuse.
So yeah, no, Neil McDonough is great. He does kind of have a villainous demeanor, but that's not his fault. He was just born that way.
Yeah, he just looks like a villain.
He's got the kind of whitish blonde hair, or maybe they just make him always dye it that way. And he's got piercing blue eyes and just like, yeah, an excellent physique, which they immediately show off because I don't know what he's doing in the river, like proving he's a man or something. So
And that's a great intro for his character. Though. Just, oh!
yeah, it's just shouting into the wilderness, you know?
Okay, I need to get away from this Legend of Chun-Li wiki page.
Yeah,
I'm like
don't look at it.
remembering, like, oh my god, the guy from Black Eyed Peas played Vega in this movie. I forgot about that.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
like, what the hell?
No, we can't go down that rabbit hole. We can't.
Also, wait, Kristen is. Oh wait, they gotta wait. Hold on. Kristen, she's not Chinese. They got a white girl to play Chun-Li.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
But I mean, that's like, why?
Because they're stupid idiots.
I guess, but it's like that's so weird.
Okay, so back to this movie, if you don't mind.
Sorry. Yes. Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
Then there's Martha and George, which I think are brother and sister, and they just say that they came with the place. It's like, all right, here's some local Native Americans. I guess they were just around.
Yeah. I mean, if it weren't for them being like pretty good upfront people, that would seem really ominous. Like they just came with the place. Like, what does that even mean?
They seem pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, but like that is such a weird thing to say.
Yeah, well, I mean, Martha is real tight-lipped, but like in a cool way. It seems more like she saves her words for really important moments.
Yeah.
And, you know, she seems real no-nonsense and knows how to get things done, which is cool. Her brother is, they don't say much about him, but what little you see of him, he likes to get high on the wacky tobacco, and he's real superstitious. And that's really all you know.
He seems like an alright guy.
I mean, he seems like he would be good with his bow, but spoiler alert, he never actually uses the damn thing.
Yeah.
And back to the wacky tobacco, they come to Private Cleves, who is over-medicated. And it's David Arquette, so now you know it's from the 90s. And he's just having a swell old time, laughing it up with the peace pipe.
I mean, it's funny, but good lord. Yeah.
I love a good cackle, to be
I
honest.
mean, you can kind of see. Yeah, but you can also totally see like why the studio latched onto that. It's like, okay, we gotta sell up the story element.
Yeah. So you're referring to the trailer that both of us remember, but I can't find, where they really play up the stoner part. And there's only like 2 shots in this whole movie where David Arquette looks real messed up, and he's smoking a pipe. And I remember everyone thinking it was going to be a big issue in the movie, but not really. It's just kind of a feature.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense because Private Cleves, I mean, if you're trapped in a boring place where you do nothing all the time, apparently he's the cook. So all he does is he cooks and he gets high.
Like him and the guy who's constantly drunk.
Yeah,
I feel you. I think I'd probably be the same way.
I mean, just out of boredom, I would assume.
Yeah, honestly.
Or it could be that because it's so slow, you can get away with being really dysfunctional and still get your job done.
Yeah.
Why I used to like night shift jobs for a time. Nobody's there to get mad.
Those are the best
Yeah.
kind of jobs.
Like a night watchman or something. So yeah.
Yeah.
So this fort, as I mentioned before, there's only 8 people in the whole place, and Boyd is number 3 in command, like right off the bat. He may or may not be captain. I forget. He's either lieutenant or captain. I think he was promoted when he got sent, but I don't know. Because I feel like there's a part later in the movie where they do call him captain, but they don't establish it. I guess they don't care. So maybe I shouldn't care.
No, I think they say something about that during the dinner, but my mind kind of, as like a self-defense mechanism, mostly blanked out that scene.
So they start eating. There's a scene where they have a dinner together. They have Toffler say grace, and it's great because he puts his head down and he folds his hands and he speaks so reverently, like right to the table's top, and then everyone just starts eating before he's even half done.
Yes.
You establish right off the bat that Private Toffler is very earnest and very ignored.
Yeah, nobody respects him. Rightly so. Again, he seems like he.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to that issue of who would be happy being trapped in a little fort on a mountain pass. And I suppose being a dim-witted preacher, I gotta stop calling him that, but I mean, that's essentially the character. You know, just being a little slow, but very earnest, very honest, you know, and very sweet, I guess. Yeah, he does seem to mean well. So, I mean, yeah, he seems to spend most of his time composing music, but everyone hates him for doing that too.
But I gotta admit, that seems like a really obnoxious thing to do.
Heidi, she used to play the flute in the room next to me, and she would play the same thing over and over again every single day.
Well, that sounds great.
And yeah, no, it sucks. I think certain instruments do better, but you know, flutes are very shrill, so it went right through the wall in a way that was not fun. Not fun for me.
No. Oh god, that reminds me. I had a neighbor back when I was still in Edmonds who would play the drums, and he would always do the same. So it wasn't even like a song. It was just like the same like set of notes over and over and over again.
Oh god.
For years. And he like never seemed to expand beyond that or noticeably improve. It just kind of seemed like it was almost like it was like a ritual. Like if he was like upset or something, you go like do that on the drums.
That's interesting.
It's very weird. Yeah.
Well, far be it from me to besmirch a man his hobby, but I will besmirch a man his hobby.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, they go back to the scene where Guy Pearce, you know, Lieutenant or possibly Captain Boyd. Well, I think at that point he's still Lieutenant because, you know, he hasn't been promoted yet. Anyway, he's under a pile of bodies in a corpse cart, and blood is just pouring all over his face. And there's a internal exposition from a scene you never see where some interviewer is asking him questions just so that he can be able to answer them for the audience. Oh, what, you just played dead? And he's like, yeah, I did that. Well, then what happened? I got up and I pointed a gun and I took over the base. I found out afterwards that this was an added scene, the exposition. And I think
definitely.
It was on the assumption that people would be too dumb to pick up on the previous scene, you know, that was essentially the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's not as egregious to me as, for instance, the Blade Runner, you know, the one with the noir voiceover by Harrison Ford.
Oh, I actually kind of like that one though.
Oh, I hate it. It's just like
no.
They
It's not
some kind of a guttural street language.
Street language.
Just in case you were confused.
Yeah. Okay, I think I think you may be onto something. I think maybe I just like that version for that line.
Yeah. Or at the end where it's just like, and then I had a happy ending, just in case you were thinking this might be ambiguous. She lived to be real old, and we were happy.
The real Blade Runners were the friends we made along the way.
The treasure is in our hearts, everybody. I was gonna make a short round joke, but I couldn't think of it in time.
Oh yeah,
It's not what short round. Anyway, so one way or another, Guy Pearce, Lieutenant Boyd, he's got blood pouring over his face. He gets a weird look. In the exposition dump, he says that something changed in him, and he kind of gets up, sort of feral, grabs a pistol, and just points it at 2 or 3 guys, and they just instantly surrender.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure they're all armed. I wonder if they just didn't have a lot of will to fight. Or maybe they were just caught off guard. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, you see a lot of people dying, but it could be that they were, like, suffering a lot of casualties themselves,
Yeah, but this is his great war hero thing, is that he pulled himself out of a corpse cart, and then he pointed a gun at 2 guys.
I mean, it's better than anything I've done.
No, it's fine. And I know, I don't mean that it wasn't an achievement. I was just thinking in movie terms, it would have been a great moment to just have him, you could see him shooting people in the back and doing cool stuff. But he, like maybe he could have opened a gate, let people in, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, but I don't think you're supposed to, like, think what he did is very heroic. I think you are supposed to think, yeah.
I guess that's
true. You are supposed to come away with the conclusion that he was kind of cowardly for doing that.
He just skated by just enough, because they gave him a position of strategic importance to the war effort, I guess. And so they're like, all right, fine, you get a medal. Now just go away and never come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically all you need to know about the character, because they don't care to tell you much more after that.
No.
Every character is fairly simple in that regard. I mean, in a way, it's just a very simple film, but in a good way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think that the movie would be worse off if you complicated it too much.
Yeah. David Arquette, who plays Cleves, him and Martha have to go do a grocery trip, and they give him a list, and Lieutenant Hart makes him read the list in front of him like he's a child, just to make sure he can read and understand the words on the page. He says, salt, bacon, coffee. And then he tells him to not smoke any of the local weed and to not do anything with the local women. Which is pretty great, because then Martha, from behind, is just like, no women. As if, to really, put the point home. They're like, listen, man, this is getting out of control. You have to stop. I guess the scene is just there so they could be gone for 3 days.
Yeah.
And thank God, because a lot of terrible stuff happens in those 3 days.
Yeah, they really lucked out.
It's a very time-constrained movie. Things happen over the course of, I think, maybe 2 weeks tops.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It could be a little longer, but it's something like that. So Pearson and Lieutenant Hart share a drink that they stole from a passed-out Major Knox. And Hart implores Toffler to stop playing a hymn on whatever that instrument is. I think it's an organ.
Mm-hmm.
Like, could you get your inspiration someplace else?
That's a great line. Also, okay, I've got to say, if I was an alcoholic out in the middle of nowhere, I absolutely would notice if any of my booze was taken.
Oh, they mentioned it.
Pissed.
Yeah. Hart says that Major Knox has some really good bourbon, and Boyd says, well, won't he know? Won't he be mad? And Hart says, yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe they're almost looking forward to the argument. I mean, things could be so boring that you're just like, I'm going to start a little trouble just to have a fun little morning,
That's horrible.
Where the hell's my booze? While they're sharing their drinks, Lieutenant Hart says something ominous, a bit of foreshadowing. I think it's escape might have you end up someplace worse. And and then immediately Lieutenant Boyd sees a weird figure out the window.
I will say, as an aside, Hart gets some of the best lines in this movie.
Yeah, he gets some good lines. He's the only one that really gets to say a lot, because all the other characters are very involved in their own business, and Hart is sort of a third wheel bookish guy, so he just gets to kind of be thoughtful about stuff. up until unfortunate things happen to him.
Yes.
They spot a strange man out the window. They go out to see who it is outside of the palisade wall, and they find a man dying of exposure. This is Robert Carlyle.
And the movie improves immensely from here on out.
Oh, absolutely. He's
Oh god.
the best thing about this whole movie.
Yes. Every time he's on screen, I'm loving it. Every time he's not, it's like, please get back to Calvin.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, but I mean, well, I think all the other actors are good. But yeah, it really is the Carlyle show here.
Yeah, it's just like you want to see more of him.
Absolutely. So they pour warm water all over him in a tub, and they lay him by the fire, and Toffler eagerly prays over him. Eventually he awakes, and Toffler is so excited he goes to awaken Major Knox to tell him the good news. And it's such a funny scene just because of how buffoonish they play Knox. Where I have to say that Toffler, he actually is played in a very like quietly enthusiastic way. I really do like. I've already forgotten the guy's name. I like that fellow's performance, Major Upham or whatever he was. No, he was Private Upham. He didn't do anything in Saving Private Ryan except for not help people. The actor Upham is great. And so he tries to quietly wake up Knox, and then finally he's just like, "Wake up!" And Knox is just like, "Whoa!" He just does like this wide-eyed gaze, like, "Whoa!" Like it looks like the kind of face you would make in a Scooby-Doo kids movie.
Yeah.
And then Toffler is just like, "Well, he's awake. We can talk to the man." And he's like, "Oh, whatever," and he just rolls over and falls back asleep.
I mean, from his perspective, I would even like give a shit.
I would explain it as being, because of how hungover he is. But that's not a hungover face he makes. He seems very alert, or at least to me. Because I think a good hangover face is just like an extreme headache. So you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
Like a giant rock's on your head and you're trying to lift it, despite it. Just like, oh, God.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he plays it correctly, but he does play it funnier as a result. It's just like, whoa! It really sets a tone for the movie, I think.
Yeah, I suppose it does.
I mean, almost all the characters have a really silly moment. In fact, I'm struggling to think of anyone who doesn't. I guess Lieutenant Hart plays it pretty cool for most of it. But everyone else says or does something silly.
Yeah, that's true.
So the man, Robert Carlyle, he introduces himself as F.W. Calhoun, a servant of God.
Also spelled in an unusual way.
Yeah, it's got a G in there, and it was very annoying because I don't know if you pronounce it or not. I don't think so, but I don't know.
Yeah. Also, I think it's a Q.
Is it a Q? Oh, maybe it is.
Yeah.
I thought it was a G. So maybe it's like Welsh or something, because I know they have a lot of strange Qs and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to read those Ulster hero stories. And there was a hero I loved called. I thought he was called Cuchulainn, and then later on, I found out it's Cahulan, where like you don't pronounce a whole bunch of the letters in there.
Yeah,
because it's I don't remember exactly how you spell it, but it's like Cuchulainn. So yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's Cahulan, not any of those C's or any of that.
Yeah.
But whatever. So yeah, I assume it's Welsh or Irish or whatever.
There's someone getting really mad at us listening to this right now.
Oh, I don't blame them.
Yeah, you should probably be upset.
So Calhoun has a crucifix wrapped around his hand. I wonder if that makes him Catholic or not. I actually did find out a lot of Catholics like to migrate because they needed freedom to religion. I didn't realize that was a big issue. It just seems like everybody's a jerk wherever your headquarters is. So even though Catholics had, the main control in Europe, the ones in America kind of had a hard time, and so they had to spread out a bit. I spent some time in Nebraska, and there was a big Catholic population in the city, but there was almost no Catholics in the entire rest of the state.
Huh.
It's like they ghettoized them. It's like you will live here. Well, they probably chose, but yeah.
I know. I'm not sure if this extends to like the general population, but at least with like presidents, there was like genuine concern over like dual loyalties.
Oh yeah, with John F.
where,
Kennedy.
Like, people were,
yeah,
where people were like, "Can we trust a Catholic in office? Or are they going to have loyalty to the Vatican over the United States?"
Yeah,
which is weird and interesting to think about.
Yeah. Okay, so Calhoun explains that he had no food for 3 months, but he still had things to eat. So right off the bat, I almost wish I could show this movie to someone who had no idea what was going to happen. Just to have it like dawn on their face. He's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Because they kind of tiptoe around it at first, of course. So he lost 30 pounds. This part, as I mentioned earlier, is very similar to the real life story of Alferd Packer, where he was the only survivor. He went back into civilization. Packer, in the real story, he was spending money with multiple wallets. So right off the bat, everyone's like, okay, this is weird. And then people who broke off from his expedition, at earlier moments, they came back. They all survived because they weren't with him. And they're like, hey, I recognize that knife. That's not your knife. And he's like, oh God. That guy left it in a tree. I just took it because he abandoned it. And there was like 3 instances of that. There was other personal objects that he had. And he's like, hey, that's not yours. And he's like, she gave it to me. Okay. So.
He just seems like a bad cannibal. Like, you gotta, use your head, man. You can't.
You gotta cover your tracks.
I feel like I could be a better cannibal than that guy.
Right before he got into town, and I believe it's Breckenridge, Colorado, he left what remained of the remains. He just threw them away. And he didn't do that right either, because a bunch of Native Americans found it and brought it into town. They're like, there was a bunch of human flesh just out in the bush.
I really like the idea that that's how they framed it.
I hope it was done in a more serious way, but
he's like dumping at their feet. Look what we found!
Look at all this! This is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Oh
my God! Look what they did to that guy's face.
You white people are crazy.
God, makes me want to throw up. Ugh.
So he tells them, I suppose I owe you gentlemen a story. And a story he does tell. So he's in a little wagon train of only 6 people, which is that would basically be like one small family. For instance, the Donner Party, I think there was 87 of them, and that was just a little splinter group. There was hundreds of people going down the Oregon Trail.
I did notice the size of their group was just strangely small.
I mean, I wrote down their names, but they don't factor into this very much. There's a Mr. McCready and wife. I hope they're naming him after the McCready from The Thing, but I don't have proof of that. So yeah, Mr.
I gotta say, probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Mr. McCready and wife, Mr. Janos, a man named Johnson, whoever the storyteller is. It's honestly, it's not clear who Calhoun is, but it seems to be Calhoun and someone named Colonel Ives. But I looked it up later. Well, okay, I guess I shouldn't reveal yet, but there's some confusion about who is who by the end of it. And they remain that confusion in the IMDb casting. So it's still a little mysterious for me, I guess.
Yeah.
But they start playing a happy banjo song as they're...
Oh yeah, I have a note for that.
I love it. It's so great. As if it's going to be like this great story. Be like, out on the open range, we were having a grand old time, but then the snow came in and we got snowed in. It's wonderful.
This movie has such a weird soundtrack.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I found out. I wrote down the names of the people who did it. It was Damon Albarn and Michael Nyman, but there's confusion about who did what, and they fight about it. So I'm not going to say who did what. I'm not going to bother. But one of them had a band made up of people who don't play instruments, so they learned just enough to play a plunky tune, and I think that almost helps the songs because it's got a weird roughness to it, you know.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Like, all right, just pluck this, yeah, like that. Just do it like that. Just keep doing that. It kind of makes sense when you think about it, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, because there's lots of crazy string music in this. There's actually a weird mix of modern and frontiersy music. A nice like pastiche of period stuff or semi-period, and then just late '90s synthy nonsense.
Yeah, like Boyd has that like theme with like it starts out with that weird sort of like ding 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 ding, it's like it does a really good job of being this like intrepid like we're going on an adventure song, but it's also
we're doing
like, this is really like, but like this is kind of dark too.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing about it. It's like the songs are enthusiastic, but they're also sort of a blank slate. So when you attach them to unconnected scenes, they become flavored by it.
Yeah.
And it's just off tune enough that it's really ominous. Like, it works really well for a movie like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, Calhoun says Colonel Ives was a detestable man and a disastrous guide because he suggests a new, shorter route through the Sierra Nevada mountain range. And it was actually longer and impossible to travel. This is almost exactly what happened to the Donner Party when they did the Hastings Cutoff. The man, Mr. Hastings, he's a real person. He was selling it like it was a brochure. They're like, go this way, it'll be faster. It goes directly to California. You don't got to go up to Oregon and then down again. You can just go straight there. But they didn't ever test it with wagons. So there was rocks in the way and tree stumps. It took them days to go a mile. Well, not days. They went about a mile a day when they should have been going 7 or 8 miles a day at least. Mm-hmm. So they lost it a month, and everybody was exhausted and miserable by the time they hadn't even gotten to the Rocky Mountains yet. So what they did was they had to go through a horrible bit, of Hastings Cutoff, and then they had to cross multiple salt flats, and then they hit the Rocky Mountains. And if you've never been to America or seen a map, the Rocky Mountains is almost half of the continental U.S. It's that big. It's gigantic. If you ever see one of those 3D maps, I love those because then you get a sense of the scale of it, because the Rocky Mountains brings up like the western half of the U.S. It's like a big, I don't know, like a big scab or scales, Mm-hmm. So this is a similar story. Ives is a jerk. He makes them go a place they can't really go. They get sheltered in a cave. I don't know about you, but I always imagined that the Donner Party was sheltered in a cave like this. Something about it. It just seems like where a horrible thing would happen, right?
It seems like a good place to eat people.
I was just thinking that because I looked it up. The Donner Party actually, they were in cabins. There was 2 cabins that they were in up in a place called Truckee Lake. Although later it was changed to Donner Lake for historical reasons. There weren't even doors on the cabins. It was just like a weird, rude hut. And the roof didn't work. So they had to put ox hide over the roof so that the rain wouldn't get in. And then they got covered by a historic amount of snow that came about a month early. And they were trapped there for quite a long time. And eventually they got so hungry that they had to eat the roof of one of the huts. So then everybody from the 2 cabins had to go into one cabin. And then the roof of that cabin, because it was made of wet oxhide, started to rot. So by the time people went to save them, they just found a snowed-in hole in the ground because the snow was so deep that you had to dig to get to the cabin. So they had to like climb down a weird pit of snow and then go into just a hole of darkness and filth that just smelled like a gigantic dead animal.
Good lord.
So, long story short, the real story is almost worse than what is depicted here. Like, the cave in this is relatively clean and nice.
Yeah, it's a classic Hollywood cave.
I mean, it's dusty and stuff. There's one horrible room, which we'll get to. But generally
Yes,
speaking, it's not
that
so
room.
bad.
Yeah.
The bad room. Calhoun is clutching a crucifix as he tells the story. He says that they ate the oxen, and then their horses, and then he ate his own dog. And that got them through the first month. And then they ate their belts, and then their shoes, and then roots.
See, I feel like at least part of this is the fault of poor rationing.
Well, possibly, yeah.
I mean, oxen are pretty big. Like, I feel like you could, like, if you're willing to go a few days of, like, being hungry, like, you could probably spread that out over a month with, like, 6 people.
Yeah, again, that's the thing. The logistics don't work out if you do the math. I mean, the thing with the Donner Party is that it was 80, almost 90 people when it started. By the end of it, only 47 made it out, or something around there. So, it was pretty bad. But what I mean is the consumption rate was pretty high. You could go through an oxen pretty quick. At one point, somebody's oxen dies, and I think it was someone in the Reed family. They sold a dead oxen to someone for like $250, which was a ridiculous amount of money at the time. Or it was the price of 2 living oxen. I don't know if you ever saw that Twilight Zone episode where they were carrying gold like across a desert.
No, I haven't.
Well, it's a great one. The ending is really stupid, but everything up until the ending is great because it's sort of like the Treasure of the Sierra Madre, where the gold bricks are really heavy and they're trying to cross a desert with them after they came out of, I don't know what it was, a time capsule or something. And as they're going, only one of them has water and the other one doesn't. And so the guy just pleads with him. He's like, please just let me drink some of the water. He's like, all right, I'll let you drink some of this water for a gold brick. He's like, you bastard. Awesome. And by the end of it, he gets all of the gold bricks. And the other guy gets so mad that he just kills him and takes them all. And then I think he dies right when he's about to get to civilization. And they have the one of those corny endings where people go to look at their corpses, clutching the gold, and they're like, oh, isn't that weird? They have all these worthless gold bricks here. Don't they know we can just make those with machines now? Like, oh, wah, wah.
I like the Twilight Zone, but sometimes they can't help themselves.
They had to crank out a lot of episodes. I'm not going to blame them for not every single one being gold,
Yeah. Yeah, Jesus. You got your joke.
Yes, I did. Okay, so as Calhoun is, getting to this more drastic and unhappy part of the story, George starts giving him the side eye. So Jones died first, a man we never really knew. He died of malnourishment, and while Calhoun was away, they started cooking his legs. Do you remember the line he says in it?
No, I don't.
It's a very simple line. I was just thinking it's more his Robert Carlyle's delivery is just so good. He said,
"Oh, sure.
When I entered the smell of meat cooking, I thank the Lord. I thank the Lord."
Oh yeah.
And everyone just kind of shudders, like, "Oh God." And then he says the meat only lasted a week. I wrote, "Why so short?" So that gets back to that, like, really? I mean, a human man, 100 and something pounds. I mean, you're not going to eat all of them, but I don't want to go into the logistics of cannibalism too much, but I just feel like you go a little further than that,
Well, yeah, I mean, it feels like they're like having like full meals. You gotta scale back.
You see, in the Oregon Trail game, you could ration out things, and you didn't have to give people full meals.
So they made versions of Oregon Trail.
Oh, there was
later
like
on,
dozens
like sequels.
dozens of versions.
Did any of them allow you to cannibalize people?
No, I think in some versions they did let you do something similar to the Hastings Cutoff, and it is always a mistake. It's very
Well, that's
similar.
nice.
I was actually thinking of that. They actually do let you cut across Utah, and if you didn't know anything about the map of the U.S., you might not realize that there's like a giant dusty desert down there. So it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't bring all my oxen there because there won't be any water.
Yeah.
Just going through dusty horribleness. They were saying in the Donner Party thing that there was a rainfall while they were in the salt flats, and it made the salt become like a gooey gummy substance that would the hubs of their wagon wheels would sink into it.
Oh God.
So
Yeah.
it just becomes like a swamp of sadness. So yeah, Robert Carlyle says that they start having a supernatural hunger. It became more severe, more savage.
I will give them lots of credit for not saying more ravenous.
Yeah. Did you feel ravenous? I did.
Turn, stare at the
indeed
camera.
feel ravenous. And they keep looking directly at the camera, down the barrel.
That reminds me of I like there's this Twitter account I like that where they just like make up lines like that where they say the name of the movie. Where it's like I've become Iron Man too.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's always horrible when they actually do that. For instance, in Deathstalker 2, when they say, and Deathstalker 2!
No, that's actually like the best use of that. They, like, say what you will about the rest of the movie, that opening is a riot. I love it.
Then they kill Janos, and then they kill MacReady, and then that leaves Ives, MacReady's wife, and him, and then he left, I guess. I don't know if any of the story is true, so I don't know if the details are even that important, to be honest.
Yeah, I get the feeling they were pretty much all made up.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but it just seems as though he was going to say whatever he needed to. Going back to the Alferd Packer guy, the real guy who ate everybody in Colorado, he just made up, I think there was at least 3 stories. He kept changing his story every time he told somebody.
Like you do.
Like you do. And he had the bad logistics in his story. And this is real life. That's the funny thing. He didn't work it out. So he was just like, oh yeah, we had to kill this guy. And then like 2 or 3 days later, we got really hungry. So we had to kill someone else. You can go like a day or 2 without food and be fine. Like it kind of sucks, but I mean, it's not like I have to kill someone levels of hungry,
Yeah.
Like what? Like remember that South Park episode where they had to eat a bunch of people, and he's like, "What are you, diabetic?" I'm hungry again.
Oh, so I will say, I don't know how you feel about it, but like because that story is so full of lies,
Yeah.
I do think that he really was Colonel Ives.
Well, yeah. See, that's what I was saying before. I mean, yeah. Spoiler alert, I guess for this.
Well,
movie.
whatever.
But yeah.
Whatever.
He's either Colonel Ives, or he's Calhoun, or he's neither, or he's both. I don't know.
I've got to think that he's Ives.
Yeah. I mean, there's in the casting on IMDb, they list him as Calhoun/Ives. So I don't know. It could be. Hart is a nice man, and so when he hears the story and that there's a woman and a man left in the cave, he immediately decides to dispatch almost everybody to go check it out. It's a 3 or 4 days march. And then right before he leaves, George just whips out a strange parchment or something, or is it a map? He's like, hey, I have a Native American legend to tell you all of. This is the Wendigo. It makes you real hungry. I mean, that's essentially it.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a localized curse or if this is something worldwide, because I feel like, to me, it feels like a localized thing. Like maybe there's something about this area where if you do a bit of cannibalism, it creates an ever insatiable hunger and an increase in strength.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
I'm not sure.
Yeah. They never really explain it. I mean, it could be that maybe they're living in a fictionalized world where anyone anywhere can do some cannibalism and and become like this, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't seem to be how that works in real life.
Not that we've seen. I actually did look up various instances of cannibalism in history. I'm glad I didn't forget them in my haste to get all this cobbled together for this podcast. But they have a notion in the sailing tradition. They call it the custom of the sea. And there's a bunch of old rules, but one of them is if you're shipwrecked, people need to draw lots in order to decide who will be killed so that the rest can eat them. And it actually, and there's several recorded instances of this happening in semi-recent times. I mean, up until around this period in history.
Like 92?
In what?
Making a joke, 92.
Oh, no. I don't think it got much past around the Victorian era, because there was a British case where they actually got rid of it. There was 3 men who were stranded on a boat, I think, like a lifeboat. And, well, they have more than one story, if I remember correctly, and it's possible I don't. But I believe the story is that they were going to draw lots and kill whoever got the bad lot. But actually what they had done was the other 2 men had just decided to kill the smaller, weaker one. So it's not, I mean, I could see it going either way, but to me, I feel like they said to other people, like, yeah, we did the lots, but in reality, they're like, well, listen, this is the easiest way to do this. What's he gonna do with his feeble little man hands?
I mean, yeah, I feel like that probably happened more often than people would like to admit.
You know what? I'm sorry to the family of these people that maybe the great grandchildren of this man who was eaten. There was a real man at one point who died a terrible death.
That's true. Also, I feel like they probably have an estate of some kind.
Yeah. We'll be hearing from them presently. So yeah.
They had to...
what was that?
I was going to say, they had to change... have you ever seen the show The Terror?
I did, and I was going to bring it up, but I forgot all about it. Yeah, see, that's another one of those failed experiments to get to California. See, they were trying to go around Canada, the Northwest Passage, and they did a little boo-boo because they didn't realize that there's no way out through there. At least I don't think there is. And so then they just started walking on foot, and then they ran out of everything, and then they ate each other. And some Eskimos saw it, so we actually have eyewitnesses. But at the time, the Brits didn't believe Eskimos, or Inuit, whatever tribe it was. And so, they chose not to believe that. And then there was those interesting legends afterwards.
Yeah. They were also attacked by a polar bear spirit monster.
A polar bear with kind of a man's face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was getting at. I think that's one of those things where something so terrible happened, and they were so sure that they would, that they were well outfitted and that they could make it through Canada, that they just couldn't believe that they screwed up so badly that they had to just, trek across Canada to get help and just died eating each other.
Yeah, that does seem a bit humiliating.
It's a ghastly, terrible fate for any man, let alone a proud party of explorers.
Yeah.
I believe they screwed up because there was a lead poisoning issue. I think the cans were poorly sealed, or it was something like that.
Yeah, I think it was like lead poisoning.
Yeah.
So
bad times.
And then, yeah. Anyway, what was we
were talking about the Wendigo legends.
No, but God, I brought up Terror for a reason.
Oh, you have another reason. Please, pray tell.
No, I can't remember it. God damn it. All right, I lost that thought. Never mind. Carry on.
So I just wrote for this scene, where did this big weird picture come from? I mean, does this guy George? He just keep this rolled up in his teepee? I think they both have. Martha and him have a little teepee on the side of the fort. So is it just sitting there all the time? He's like, I hate this legend, but I keep it so that I can show others if need be.
I mean, if you thought that there was like a cannibal spirit that could like turn people mad, wouldn't you want people to know?
Well, I guess I just thought it was weird to have a visual cue. I mean, it's great for the movie. I mean, I love seeing a weird mythological picture of a blood drinking looking cannibal monster.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I do like the way they tie it into Christianity with the whole like body of Christ thing.
Oh, I knew they were going to do that.
I don't know.
Lieutenant Hart was just like, do people still do this? Do they still believe this? And George is just like, well, he whispers something in Hart's ear, and then Hart translates from whatever it is. Is it Navajo? I'm not sure what the language is, but he says, "Oh, the white man eats the body of Jesus every Sunday." Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, it is kind of funny.
Yeah, it is.
Well, because transubstantiation is bizarre even to people who believe it, but to people who don't, it's like extra bizarre. Like, does Jesus give you powers when you eat him? No. It makes me feel closer to him.
I've gone down such a rabbit hole. I was looking up what tribe they were, and I was like, all right, what are the the tribes of the Sierra Nevada? And it's just there are so many.
No, yeah, there's too many.
It's like no, yeah, I can't.
Well,
I mean, this is interesting, but like, I'm not. Yeah, there's no way.
And it's such a mess. I was looking briefly up the expedition of Lewis and Clark, and when they went back, they brought a Mandan Indian chief with them. They were a Plains people that were mostly wiped out by sickness later on. It was a terrible story, but that's a whole other thing. Mm-hmm. So the chief went to visit the great king in Washington because I actually thought that was interesting, where he didn't really know anything about how Western civilization worked or what Americans were. But he's like, all right, you guys seem pretty cool. I want to go check out your whole thing. And he did. He went all the way there. And then he wanted to go back, and it was so hard to get him back. It took multiple trips, failed expeditions, just to get him back to his tribe. Because of all of the other tribes around, that hate that guy or just aren't welcoming,
Yeah. I was going to say that they can make a movie off that called Coming to America.
Coming back to America. Just go home, Mr. Mandan.
I honestly, that could be like an interesting movie.
Yeah, I'd watch it. Maybe that's why it stood out to me. It was just how bizarre that is. I'd like to go home now. We're not sure that you can. We're not actually positive how Lewis and Clark did it. Okay, so George, Calhoun, Boyd, Colonel Hart. Is it Colonel Hart or is it Lieutenant Hart? I'm already getting mixed up. Well, anyway, Hart, Toffler, and Reich all head out to find the survivors, if there are any. Mm-hmm. Although Hart notes that Major Knox had too much bourbon in his bourbon, so he would not be going.
Very convenient how they keep him out of most of the movie like that.
Okay, so from here on out, I just realized, from here on out, I wrote it as Colonel Hart. So since the beginning, he was Colonel Hart, and he shall continue to be so.
Yes.
I made a note about him. Colonel Hart keeps dropping important stuff, stumbling around. Why did he come along? I mean, he seems
That's a good question.
He's old and he's feeble, or at least the way they portray him in the film. He drops his hat twice, and Calhoun picks it up twice. He's, Colonel Hart, you dropped this. I think it's supposed to show that he's being nice, but it also just shows the weird kind of earnest, almost comedic stance the movie seems to be taking on all this. It's just the bizarreness of it.
Yeah. I mean, I do also think that Calhoun was ingratiating himself with Hart.
And there's very little time for character development, but that might very well be the case. Yeah.
I feel like he's a long game kind of guy.
So almost instantly, I mean, it was probably a long trip, but they just show Hart and the rest stumbling around in a river, and then almost instantly they're up in high mountains. And it looks like the backdrop for the film Alive. Speaking of which, Alive is my least favorite cannibal film, if we have one of those. Or at least of the well-made cannibal movies. I'll put it that way.
I was gonna say, I feel like there's like a
There's a lot of terrible
whole
exploitation cannibal movies. Yeah.
there's a whole subgenre of European movies that,
I think it's what I hate about Alive is how self-righteous it is. It makes it seem like they had no choice. I mean, they were up there for a really long time, and they kept not saving themselves. And the way that they got down was that two of them just left. They climbed down the mountain. Like, well, you guys could have just done that the whole... Again, I don't want to insult the real Uruguayans. But, okay, as portrayed in the movie, maybe if I narrow it to that, the way it's portrayed, it just seems so wrong. I don't know. They didn't do a good job of showing why they couldn't go down the mountain. So the whole time I was watching, I was just like, just leave! Just go down the mountain!
No, I think it's also fair to say that they were selfish cowards.
No, listen, no, we cannot do that. Those are real people. They're real people who are still probably like, well, I don't know. When did that happen? Like the 60s or 70s?
Yeah, okay, hey, come at me.
River Phoenix was in that movie, but he's dead, so we can insult him.
Sure, yeah. No, people would be more upset about that.
Yeah. He was in Last Crusade! Remember that scene where all of the things that make Harrison Ford who he is were all established? It was important.
Man, I love a well-made movie like that.
No, I love that movie, but yeah,
I know.
It is just a checklist. You're like, afraid of snakes, fights a lion with a whip, gets a hat from a dude.
Literally his most important day.
Yeah. He's like, I was so unfocused before this day, and then all of it came together. Okay, so wait, where the hell are we? Oh yeah, so they're up in the mountains. Lieutenant Boyd, or maybe Captain Boyd, whatever. Boyd asks Calhoun what it was like after he ate the flesh. He said, "Did you feel a change, a physical change?" This is the first scene where you see Calhoun in those crazy snow goggles, and I'm just like, "Oh, these are awesome."
Oh yeah, I had those written down. Calhoun's steampunk goggles.
They're great. Well, that's something that keeps coming up in the terrible stories of cannibalism from real life. There are two big things that really ruin you: not having snowshoes and not having goggles. Because people would get snow blind and they wouldn't be able to walk around on top of the snow, and the snow was too deep. At the Donner parties, the valley where they were snowed in, they cut trees. And after the snow melted, it looked really bizarre because of how high the snow was. It was taller than a man where they cut. So like you can get a sense of just how much snow was piled all over them.
Yeah.
And so, it's the only way you're going to get through there is if you have snowshoes. And to their credit, some of them did make some out of ox hide and wood. But then, so they call it the group of the Forlorn Hope. They ran out of food and got lost, and then they had to eat the ox hide from the snowshoes.
Oh no!
Wah wah.
That's very unfortunate.
Yeah. So anyway, these people much better prepared. They have this. You can actually see the snowshoes on their backs, and at least Calhoun has snow goggles. I don't know about everyone else though.
Okay, I don't know what this says about my priorities, but I feel like I need the person before the snowshoes. You need those.
I was thinking so too. I'm just like, I think this is almost like maybe I should just cut off my own hand first and just keep the snowshoes.
Yeah, that's I'm sorry. The snowshoe is the actual last resort.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was planning on asking this later, but I mean, personally for me, I don't know if I could do the whole cannibalism thing. I was just thinking of that British guy who was too hurt to go home in time, or he was slowing down his party, and he famously said, "I'm going for a walk. I might be some time." I think I'm more of that kind of a guy, I think I'd rather just throw myself off a cliff rather than do something like that,
See, I guess for me, the real concern is, am I able to, cook the meat? Because, I mean, I think, I gotta say, I think I could eat a person.
I'll eat
But,
the flesh of a man, but it's gotta taste good.
Well, no, it's not even taste. It's just like it's gross to eat raw meat.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't I wouldn't even like eat raw animal meat.
Well, I feel like you would do that if you had to.
Well, I mean, yeah, if I had to. I'm just saying, like, preference-wise. But also, I was gonna say, incidentally, I guess there is I should look it up, type of sandwich called a cannibal sandwich.
Cannibal sandwich?
It uses raw, like, raw beef.
Oh.
It's like a regional thing in the U.S.
Well, I know that people eat steak tartare, where you put a raw egg into some raw beef, and then you just mix it all up.
Yeah, no, this is like, it's like a sandwich with like, it's just like, yeah, raw meat and onions. Very unappealing looking.
I am a big fan of onions.
Yeah. Also, I don't know, like, I know you can eat raw meat. It's like, where would I don't know where I would even go to get meat that I could trust to eat raw,
Sushi places?
Well, but like, what I'm saying is, for like the sake of a cannibal sandwich, like, I'm not going down to like the local grocery store and being like, all right, well, I'll just take whatever trash they're selling.
You would need to choose a single cut. Hamburger stuff is always a mess where they just throw it all together. But if it's like a steak cut, you would have to get a better cut of meat. I did spend a short time on a butcher block. This is why I know this dumb thing. But if there's less cuts, there's less touched surface area. So basically they just cut it off of the animal. So you have your best odds with like a nice steak or something like that.
Yeah, I guess, like, I feel like if you could like source it from kind of like a higher end like butcher shop, then I'd be more okay with it.
Yeah. So,
but anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, sandwiches, cannibalism.
Cannibal sandwiches. So Calhoun says that he got a certain virility from having eaten it. And they share like a weird little moment. I guess it's almost like Boyd is feeling a little better. He's like, well, you did a messed up thing too.
Yeah.
They stop for a bourbon break. Yeah. I love that that's what it is. They're like, yeah, we need to have some booze. Sit down. Not that I'm against it. Toffler.
No, but like,
yeah.
I would say, I feel like drinking during a situation like that would just like make things so much worse.
Yeah, it would cheer you up though.
I guess.
They were probably walking for a couple of days. They said it was 3 or 4 days mission or walk or whatever. Yeah, it might have just been more of a morale issue.
Suppose so.
During the bourbon break, Toffler finds a bone, and he's real excited about it. He's too excited because then he stumbles and tumbles down a cliff.
Yeah,
he hurts himself very badly. And it's great because Reich goes down there, and to save him, I guess. And he says, "Oh, he's all right." And then he just goes in close and is like, "Are you all right?" Like, I love it. He just assumes like, well, he'll probably be fine, but he's really not though, because they immediately show him in the next scene, and he has a chunk missing from his abdomen. I guess he cut it open on the way down.
Yeah, that looks pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
Toffler will say, to his credit, he is not crying the way I would probably be doing.
He did whimper a little.
A little, but man, I would not. I do not think I would handle it as well.
Well, see, I do like the performances in this from all of the weird little side characters, because Toffler is wounded at this point, and so they start tending his wounds in the tent. And there's this great scene where at first he's just very quietly asks, "I would like to have some bourbon," and everyone just ignores him for a minute, and then he's just like, "Bourbon now!"
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, that's the thing. It's so ridiculous, but then again, he's in a lot of pain, so I can't really blame him.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
I know you guys are real into whatever you're doing right now, but my whole side is cut open.
Oh, also another instance of kind of weird music when he falls.
Well, I didn't make a note of it. I don't remember. Do you remember which one it was?
I don't, but I did write a note on that. Um, I mean, like that's the thing. It's like there are just like every now and then little like scenes or actions where they just play like a little bit of a song, and it's like that's really weird.
Yeah, there are like these asynchronous music stings at strange moments in a scene.
Yeah,
and it won't even be the whole
Yeah.
scene. It'll be like part of a scene.
yeah,
So they go to bed, and just right off the bat, Calhoun loses it. And in the dark, they're just fumbling around, and Toffler wakes up and just starts shrieking. And everyone, everyone wakes up, and you're like, "What's going on?" And there's just like a little smudge of blood on Calhoun's mouth, and
Yeah.
and Toffler says, "He was
Licking
licking me."
me. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so creepy.
And Reich goes to kill him immediately. He pulls out a big old knife. He's like, "Right." And it's a shame he didn't do it right then and there, because that would have ended the movie.
Yeah, I will say I appreciate his initiative.
Well, honestly,
throughout the movie.
You know what? I'm not like a very violent man or whatever, but in that moment, I probably would have been the same. I would be like, "All right, you got to die, man."
Yeah, look, you've already admitted to being a cannibal. Like this is.
Well, you're the only survivor from this suspicious situation. You're leading us out in the middle of nowhere. You know, you were just sucking on the wound of my friend. You're toast, boy.
Yeah.
But Hart is nice and says like, no. Yeah, we'll have him explain. So they send him outside, and it's great because even as he's going outside, Private Toffler is just like, "Sick man outside." He's like a simpleton, but it's great. I mean, I can't really blame him. Again, I can't blame him for this either. If you're just like, that's how you would be if you woke up and somebody was just like gnawing on your wound.
Yeah.
Like I would flip out.
No, yeah, he was. If anything, he was nicer about it than I would have been.
Maybe so. So yeah, Calhoun just barely keeps from being basically executed on the spot. He just says like, "Oh, I woke up. I was in a nightmare. My lips were on the wound," and then he insists that he be bound up so that he can continue the rest of the trip safely because he can't be trusted.
I would say I would not accept that excuse.
What, that he woke up in some kind of terror dream and was reliving his nightmare?
Yeah, I feel like that would just like justify my my feelings. Like if I'm sorry, if you're at that point where you're having like horrible like unconscious like compulsions to eat people, I don't know if I really want you hanging around.
Maybe so. But nevertheless, being bound up, this seems to mollify the party. So they proceed. And along the way, George whispers, "Wendigo." Now, he knows what's up.
Oh, yeah.
So they get down to the woods at lower elevation. And Calhoun starts getting real excited as they approach the cave. Once again, just real crazy, disturbing music starts to kick in. Like,
yes.
It's like, it's just nuts.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is I think it's a harmonica. I'm not positive what instrument it is, but it's real high and shrill.
Yeah.
It's great. It's like an alarm, just like something real bad happened here.
Oh, yeah.
So he starts flipping out, Calhoun. And so they kind of just set him aside and ignore him. So I suppose it was a successful strategy because they got everybody to not care about him for a while they went and, checked out what happened in the cave.
Mm-hmm.
Calhoun becomes hysterical. Boyd and Reich venture within. Their lanterns are huge.
Yeah. I also made note of that.
I guess that must be how they were. They look neat. They're like as big as a leg almost. They're like really big lanterns.
Yeah.
And George has a bow and arrow and a tomahawk, which I just wrote cool.
They are cool.
He does very little with them, but at least he has them.
Yeah, sometimes that's all that matters.
Reich wants to go in because, he's brave and awesome. Hart insists that Pierce goes in as well because they need a commanding officer to go check it out, I think is their rationale. And then different ominous music starts up. It's kind of an ominous drum beat as they head into the cave. They find a weird pit. Reich kind of just elects to lower down on the rope, and Boyd's just like, "Well, what are you doing?" It's like, "Would you like to go first, sir?" Like, you know what? No,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, I know they don't like give reasons for why everyone was like put out into the middle of nowhere. I mean, like they obviously give Boyd a reason, but like Reich seems like he's just got a pretty good head on his shoulders. Like, why is he out here?
I got the impression, I mean, they give very little time for some character development for some of these characters.
Yeah.
For reasons we'll soon see. But for Reich, I got the sense that right off the bat, he thought that, or maybe he just sensed that Boyd was a coward. And it's in this scene too, where he's just like, I know you're not going to go down this pit, so I'm going to go down it. And so I wonder if maybe he was insubordinate. Like, I could see him maybe like punching a commanding officer or something like that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It could just be that he's a local guy, or maybe he's just taking some time off before he does something more important. They don't all have to be
Sure.
a mess.
No, but yeah, I'm just like he like feels like the most, I guess, like outwardly competent.
I think I might
Of
have
the
given
group.
him a scene just to explain, because I would like to know. And
Yeah.
they don't really get to talk to him. He is probably the most competent and serious character of the whole movie.
Yes. I mean, in fact, it's like the joke when they introduce him is like he's such a tough guy.
Yeah, he's real serious. So outside the cave,
But anyway.
while all this is going on, Calhoun starts grunting and making weird hand motions.
It's great.
It looks like he's trying to cast a spell. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good crazy acting. I mean, the funny thing is, like, it's almost so weird that it like disarms you.
Yeah, I think that's what he was going for.
Yeah.
Because no one questions what he's doing or why he's doing it after that. So in a way, it kind of works.
Yeah, it's just like, what would you even expect from that?
Yeah.
Or what could you?
So he's standing right by Toffler while he's doing all this, and like just staring him dead in the eye and doing the hand motions. Toffler's just getting real weirded out. As I suppose you would.
Yes, understandably.
So Reich went down into the pit. He encounters a skull amongst the rubbish on the floor. And it's such a weird skull to me because it has long hair.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
also
noticed that, but yeah.
I did. I also noticed the guitar riff.
Oh
when
yeah,
the bones are found.
yeah. See, that's the other thing. It's some contemporary or contemporaneous music, and then it just kind of goes right to modern stuff whenever it feels like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they find this skull with the long hair. So I think it means that the face was chewed off, but the scalp was on. So it's like a skull with like a skull cap or a scalp, which is just weird and gross.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Very
so
odd.
he does the jump scare thing where he's looking at the skull and he turns and almost just runs into 5 drippy, gross skeletons hanging upside down.
Incredibly wet skeletons.
Yeah, they're real gooey. Ugh.
Yeah.
And you know what? To his credit, he doesn't freak out.
No. Like I said, he's a competent guy.
Cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reich finds 5 skeletons in the pit, including Ives, which he identifies by a military outfit sitting by a gooey
Yes.
skeleton. Well, it might be Ives. I mean, that's one of the ambiguities of the film. We don't know who these people are. I mean, they're missing everything, so.
Really think that Calhoun is Ives, though.
Well, he could be Ives, and he ate Calhoun, and then just put his military outfit in the cave, put on regular clothes.
Yeah.
Or
Well, 'cause
he could be Calhoun, who later pretends to be Ives. I don't know.
I feel like he's like pretty skilled with like weapons.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
So I mean, like I feel like he displays a lot of skills that would indicate that he is like seen combat, or at least like has like training.
Yeah. So Reich does the count. Realizes that everybody is dead, and he just shouts,
Yeah.
"It's a trap!" and he runs out. But is it a trap?
Oh, that's uh. I mean, yeah, that's weird because like I don't know if you could like assume that, but that is such a great like tense moment where
It's a great scene. Yeah.
where they're like exiting the cave and it's like, oh, something's going on. Like you don't know what's going to happen, but something's happening.
Yeah, I mean, even before this, it's getting real tense, and Hart is yelling into the cave, to just get some confirmation from them or have them come back. But it's not clear why Hart is getting all weirded out. Maybe just because he's unhappy to be there. He's like, I want to go home.
I mean, it seems pretty miserable.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, also just like everything seems miserable. Going back home would be miserable. like the whole situation sucks.
All of my states of being are unfortunate. I can either be here or not. It makes no difference.
Well, no, it's true. Like the fort sucks. Going out there sucks. Like,
yeah,
going to town probably sucks.
I like that every time they leave the fort, they cross all these sad little graves. It's like just a reminder that everything out there is death.
Yeah.
And we come back, you're reminded of it too. You're like, yep, you just came from death. So Calhoun starts digging like a crazy person on the side of the river. Toffler's supposed to be watching him, I think, but he's weak and he's not really paying attention. And it's weird because in that scene, they're supposed to go right to the trap stuff. I mean, you already saw the people running through the cave to come back out again. But they still stop that scene and have him get up again. And Calhoun just goes and makes some more crazy hand motions for a while. And then he goes back and gets the knife. I just like that the moment is interrupted by weirdness. We're just like, getting the knife. Wait a minute. I need to go make hand motions. This is important, everybody.
I mean, no. See, you're joking, but he does make noises like that. It's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful, crazy acting.
So yeah, he found a knife that I guess he put there. He knew right where it was. And he runs up and stabs Hart, and then it starts playing the harmonica again. And George is, he's pretty on the spot. He's up on a ridge and he throws a tomahawk, and so Calhoun just moves Hart so he gets hit by it, and it's wonderful. Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's great in any action film whenever that happens.
Oh, absolutely.
My favorite, I think, is in the original for Total Recall, when they just use some random person from the crowd and he just gets sprayed with bullets by everybody. And they use him like multiple times, and then he throws the dead body at the bad guys. I guess it'll distract them. Anyway, I should do it in the horror voice. This will distract them.
That's all right.
So anyway, Hart takes a tomahawk in the back and a knife in the front. He is not in a good state.
No, gotta say, seems like it really suck.
Well, he's already really feeble and kind of bloated, and he was not really fit for this mission at all. So yeah, he's basically done.
I mean, who is fit for a tomahawk to the back though?
Maybe Reich. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that wouldn't kill him.
I mean, I almost would have liked that kind of a scene where, he gets hit in the back and he goes down, but then he just starts to get up again, and Calhoun would just get really mad, be like, really? Are you serious? So Calhoun...
Yeah, but that does seem like the kind of thing that would, like, frustrate him more than scare him.
Yeah. So Calhoun steals Hart's pistol from out of his pocket and shoots George, who does a great fall off of the side of the ridge.
Oh, wonderful.
The only thing it didn't have was, the old yell, the Wilhelm scream. Like, ah!
Yeah.
I can't do it. No one can do it. Except for whoever Wilhelm was. He was the only one. So Calhoun, yeah, he shoots George, and then he's about to shoot Toffler, who's just standing there like a doofus, and he's not doing anything. And I actually had to replay the scene several times because I thought there was a deleted scene where Toffler had his rifle taken away, but that's not true. He's holding it the whole time. So Toffler's watching Hart get stabbed, and then Toffler's watching George get shot, and then Toffler's watching Calhoun slowly pull out the pistol and aim it at him and cock it, and very cinematically, like, you're gonna die. And then he just closes his eyes like, I'm about to get shot. I accept this. And there's a click. Calhoun.
So annoying.
So annoying. And it's wonderful. But I was just thinking how pathetic that was that Hart only had one bullet in his gun. Like, you went out into the wilderness with one bullet in your gun.
Look, that's why for all the bullying earlier, I feel like it's pretty justified. The guy was a weenie.
Maybe it was a dud or something. I don't know. It could be that it was a bad bullet. Maybe, but then he would just keep clicking. I mean, if I was that guy, like, to see if any of the chambers work.
Yeah. No, sorry, you were talking about Calhoun. Yeah, no, I feel like it was just a dud. Yeah,
Calhoun's pistol was taken from Hart, so Hart went into the wilderness with one bullet.
Yeah, that's very odd.
I assume that Toffler had more, but he has no combat experience, I guess. So he's just standing there with the rifle, allowing all this to happen. I don't know why, but Calhoun stops and drapes a cloak or a shirt or something over Hart's dying body. He's not even dead yet. And then he holds up the dagger in a weird kind of, I don't know what he's doing, like an imploring motion, and he's just like, run. And away they go. And a fun old tune starts up. Like a
super banjo music.
Yeah, it's like a soup song kind of song, Yeah. It was pretty great. And so he chases him up the hill, and honestly, it is a really fun moment for how gruesome and horrible it is. I mean, I guess I can't really be mad at Calhoun because of how incompetent these guys were. Especially Toffler.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Toffler. Because as soon as Calhoun goes after him, he just drops the rifle. I don't know if you saw that. I had to keep replaying it until I saw him release it.
I did see that.
Yeah, so he's just holding the rifle with both of his hands, and then Calhoun runs at him and he drops it. I mean, even if you don't want to fire it, you can still have it as just a heavy stick, You can just hit him with it.
Yeah.
Or at least hold it out in front of you. Like, please don't stab me. So they chase him around for a while. Eventually, Reich and Boyd emerge from the cave, and they find Colonel Hart, and he's not dead, so he's just got the cloak over him, and he's bleeding to death. Like it's as if he's already a corpse, but he's just feebly laying there. Like, I don't know why this is on my face. And Boyd wants to tend to him, but Reich is just like, no, we gotta go kill this guy right now.
The right decision, honestly.
Well, I guess. I mean, you can't really do triage in the middle of a combat type situation, I suppose.
The Reich decision.
The Reich decision. Yes, from here on out, for the rest of this, we shall call it the Reich decision. Okay. So Toffler screams twice. The worst has happened. They seem to lose they seem to lose track of the trail. And for some reason, Calhoun spots them and then gets their attention. He's just like, ah!
Yeah. That is odd.
Well, I think I know why. It's because he wants to use the natural topography to kill these people. He knows the area. I mean, he's been eating people here for some time now.
Sure.
So he knows that, I guess, up a ridge there's a cliff. So I think he's luring them to the cliff so that he can throw them off of it.
Hmm.
That appears to be the case. They find Toffler's poor body. He's lost a great deal of his stomach, and he is dead.
Yes.
It's
rest in peace, annoying character we didn't really like.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel pity, but I just thought it was weird that he dies in the same way that he was already wounded. Calhoun's just like, oh, I know you got an abdomen wound, so I'm just gonna keep stabbing you there. I'll make it easy for myself.
Finish your meal.
Yeah.
You know?
You finish what you started. You hurt yourself. You gotta keep going.
Well, I'm just saying, he was licking the wound, you know?
There are some exposed intestines, I guess, but it's not too bad.
No.
Reich and Boyd pursue Calhoun. Reich wastes 2 bullets shooting at what he thinks is Calhoun. I don't know if that's an illusion or what that was supposed to be. Like, you look over there, you see Calhoun standing there. He fires twice. You look back again, and he's not there.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a vampire. Like, he can move, like, super fast.
It's his Wendigo powers.
Well, if that's true, he probably should have used it earlier. I mean, he would have been foiled in his scheme if Toffler had just been competent enough to shoot a rifle. I mean, that's all it took, was just Toffler not guarding him, basically. So, yeah, they're out on the high cliff. Calhoun emerges and just hurls a knife right into Reich, who plunges off the cliff. And then Boyd actually has the right idea. I mean, he actually shoots Calhoun right in the... Well, I thought it was right in the chest, but I guess it's the shoulder. And he falls down, but gets up rather quickly. Like, he grunts for a while, and then he gets up. There's some blood on his lips, but, you know, not that hurt for having been shot.
No.
And Boyd, because he is canonically a coward, feels himself bested by the situation. You know, because after being shot, Calhoun seems pretty sprightly. It looks like he's gonna, you know, tackle him. And he's got the devil eyes. He's got the beady cannibal hunger.
Yes.
So he essentially gives up and just hurls himself off the cliff rather than face him. I mean, I don't know. Is that cowardly? I was thinking, like, it would be, in a way, fleeing somebody is cowardly, right? But throwing yourself off the cliff is pretty nuts.
Yeah. God, okay, yeah, you've got a point. Because, like, yeah, the intent of the act is cowardly, but in, like, practice, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he thought he was going to die, but he doesn't die immediately, of course.
Yeah, I do wonder if it was just he just didn't want his body being eaten.
Possibly. I mean, right before Reich gets stabbed and dies, or almost dies, he does tell him that Boyd tells Reich that he wants to leave. Reich's like, "Oh no, we're gonna find this guy. We're gonna kill him." Shame that it didn't work out. So
no.
By the end of this, they're both off the cliff. Boyd tumbles down, and he rolls over Reich's body, and the two of them just roll into some kind of a wooded hollow and just collapse in there.
Mm-hmm.
Boyd's leg is broken. The bone is exposed. And, well, you don't know that right away. I guess he's just laying there. So, like, the first thing actually is that Reich is hanging upside down, and there's just blood pouring out of his lips. And turns out he's not dead. He's got one of those kind of, like, I'm dying, so I'm going to try to strangle you things going on. So like, I'm not sure why he's doing that. Maybe just frustration, or I just assume it's because he's crazy from dying.
Also crazy for cowards. Just can't stand them.
Yeah. How dare you go off the cliff? I assume you chose to do that.
Yeah, unlike me, who did not have a choice in the matter.
Yeah. So, yeah, he tries to get up. Boyd does after Reich dies. And there's that broken celery noise, which I just love in movies.
Yeah. Yes.
So then Calhoun is real dedicated, because he starts searching for them. He climbs down the cliff just to go look for their bodies. And he's literally sniffing around. Like, not just, the verb. I mean, like, he's sniffing the air like he's a dog or something.
So, okay, I want to take a moment, because that does seem like a weird, almost like supernatural power that he has. Like, it actually seems like he's like able to track people by scent.
Maybe? Yeah, possibly.
So, is this movie pro-cannibalism? Because the movie seems to really drive home that there are a lot of benefits to eating man flesh. Like
I think it's
the virility,
yeah.
the restorative nature of eating flesh, the fact that it gives you something near supernatural powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that some? Is the movie pro cannibalism?
Maybe. Well, the thing is, it's sort of like the dark side of the Force, where it's powerful at the start, but then the downsides are enormous. I mean, I guess.
Sure.
I think it's because it's something that you can't stop, and it just spirals out of control too fast. I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, like, I guess like the real issue is the addiction, not so much the eating human flesh.
Yeah, if you could get the addiction under control, or if you could exercise the spirit, yeah, you could just eat a little bit of a dead guy, and then get cured of your cancer or whatever it is you've got, and then just and then go through a ritual or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. So it's I would say it's maybe not out of the realm of possibility to suggest that the movie is pro moderate cannibalism, like cannibalism.
Maybe,
You know?
yeah. And I think also that Robert Carlyle plays Calhoun so successfully that he makes it seem kind of awesome to be a cannibal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's also probably part of it. Without spoiling it, there are other characters that engage in cannibalism that aren't as cool.
Yeah, this is true. So
So,
Reich
yeah.
died with his blue eyes open, and it's real creepy looking.
Yes.
So Boyd is trapped in the pit. I guess Calhoun must have missed him. Maybe he couldn't smell him under all of the pine needles. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Either that, or maybe he was just leaving him down there on purpose. It's a little ambiguous, and honestly, I kind of like it when they leave it like that.
Yeah, I do. I do kind of like the idea that he intentionally left him down there, knowing what happens.
Well, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I mean, he like, seems like the kind of guy who would do that.
Yeah. So yeah, Boyd painfully resets the bone in his leg as he lays in the pit. It's horrible.
Yes.
And there's a little clip of Calhoun just cackling to himself as he's dragging bodies into the cave. And then Boyd respectfully places some branches over Reich's face. I guess it's sort of like a casual little funeral, what he's able to do in the time. And there's a clip of just life going on at the fort with Martha and David Arquette's character Cleves, just kind of blissfully going about their day, entirely unaware that almost their entire fort members are now dead and eaten.
Yeah.
And I just have a note here that just says, this movie gets nuts right away.
Yeah.
Because you think of how much this escalated, and this is not far into the movie. I didn't write down the timestamp, but this is maybe a half hour in, maybe something like that.
Yeah, they're about it.
And there's already multiple instances of death and cannibalism and just madness.
Hmm.
So Boyd steals Reich's jacket for warmth when it gets cold at night. And Reich's eyes stay pretty clear even in death. Like, they get a little cloudy, but not as cloudy as I would have expected.
No.
And he just kind of stares him down while he's laying there. Boyd's just like, tell me what to do. I need you to tell me what to do. I wonder if that's like a...
He's got the... What?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I wonder if that's like a recurring theme, is Boyd's sort of cowardice. Like, he doesn't want to make his own decisions, so he keeps trying to ask other people for help.
Yeah, I noticed
Yes?
that. I like that they're consistent about that, because it would be very easy to just write him as like doing the cowardly thing and then having him be more traditionally like heroic and protagonistic.
Yeah.
And, like when the movie is like actually occurring and like stuff's happening.
Boyd starts to get the hunger. And there's no easy way to show this in a movie, so they just show some flames and, some clips of him covered in the blood from when he was buried in the corpse cart.
Yeah.
And he makes some kind of constipated faces, just like, oh, hungry. I feel a little bad for Guy Pearce. I mean, there's only so much you can do, to look hungry.
Yeah.
And
I
oh yeah, you go first.
Well, I was gonna say the ridiculous thing to do would be to like completely undercut the seriousness of the scene by playing like a stomach growling noise.
I think it did, didn't it?
Did it?
I thought it did play like a little noise, but I'm not positive. I'd have to play it back.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
If it did, it was a subtle one, and it didn't ruin the scene.
Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, my tummy. Yeah.
I love the weird, insane stuff he's saying to Reich when he finally kind of gives up and starts to hack him up.
Yeah.
Did you write it down?
No, I didn't. But
it's insane
it's
anyway.
pretty great.
But yeah, he just says, "Damn you, you're dead. You're dead. You're safe now."
Yes.
Like he's mad at him for his problems being over. That is so bleak.
Yeah, that really is dark.
What a black day for Captain Boyd, or Lieutenant Boyd, whichever Boyd he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, he cuts a little out of Reich's leg. It kind of looks like beef jerky to me.
Yeah, I mean, of the meat we've seen so far in the movie, Reich does look the most appetizing.
Yeah, I would say that. I would also say, just generally for this movie, that the cannibalism is handled fairly well. There's hardly any of it that's really gross or makes you want to throw up.
Yeah, like I said, the movie does portrays cannibalism in a pretty positive light. Doesn't make it too gross or anything.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, just a little bit of Reich in him, and Boyd starts to heal.
That's what I'm saying.
And he's able to stumble out of the pit and hobble his way home. When he gets there, I actually made a note about the graves outside the fort. I had to watch it later, though, just to remind myself of whether or not they were there at the beginning, and they are. Because I thought it would have been funny if Calhoun or whoever had already put their graves out there, like symbolic graves. Like, they're all dead.
That would be pretty good.
I'm not sure how long he was gone. I guess long enough for him to have his leg reset a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of got the feeling that it was like not too long, but it wasn't like a day.
I was just gonna guess like a week or maybe 2 weeks.
Something like that, yeah.
Cleves, slash David Arquette sees him first, and then Knox treats Boyd, and Boyd rests. But he has horrible nightmares. He just like rolls out of bed. I guess that's just to show maybe he's got the Wendigo in him now, and it's like an evil spirit. It'll create unrest in his heart.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe just eating somebody you knew is real traumatizing.
Yeah, I mean, either way, seems like it'd suck.
Yeah. So that brings things down to only the cook, Arquette, Major Knox, Martha, and Boyd. So Boyd goes to Martha's personal teepee without her permission. He just walks in there and starts just pawing around in her stuff. And then she comes in with him already in there. And she gives him a reproachful look, but not much of one. She's just like, well, I know most of the white men will paw around in my stuff eventually, but I'd rather you not do that right now. I have business to attend to.
Lightly annoyed.
It's just a little odd to me. Well, because also he has to establish in that scene that he didn't kill her brother, because George died too, and nobody knows what happened. He's the only one that made it back, so in a way that does make him look bad.
Yes, definitely.
So he has to insist. He's like, "Wait, please, I did not kill your brother. I did not." And he asks her about the Wendigo and how to get rid of it. And it's great. Her answer is pretty great. She's just like, "No, there's no way.
Yeah,
you can't do it. The Wendigo takes. He never gives. You must die."
Okay, Peter. Hot take for a second.
All right.
Can we admit that the Wendigo is capitalism?
Maybe.
I wrote that as a joke, but then afterwards I was reading it. It's like, maybe.
Kinda. I mean,
like the Western way of life to always take.
It's well, I would say it's about cannibalism is wrapped up in reckless over expansion. At any rate,
yeah.
Cutting corners, doing things the improper way, trying to sneak around other people, just doing things out of greed and not with a lot of foresight.
Yeah.
leads to cannibalism. So I think that's one of the themes they try to bring up later. I mean, they do talk about manifest destiny, and
Yeah.
Robert Carlyle says something awesome. It was like America was like a mother with her arms wide, willing to embrace and also bury secrets. So I thought
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
That's a bit later, but yeah.
Yes.
So spoiler alert: Calhoun comes back later. Of course he does. Why wouldn't that be weird? He's just like, yeah, that happened. Now we're gonna just deal with it for the rest of the movie.
What would you even make the movie about if
I don't know.
He didn't? Yeah.
Like he just wandered off into the wilderness.
That'd be so weird.
Yeah, I would have it be like the end of the Revenant. So he would just go track him down, be like, I'm gonna go kill that man.
Yeah, okay, you could take the movie in that direction.
I don't know if it's a great ending, but it's a way you could take it.
Yeah.
Rather than just have him give up and just, I don't know. If he's left to his own devices, he might even just come to his senses or find some kind of peace. Although it makes it seem as though the Wendigo will always take you over in time. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he's the peace kind of guy.
The two military men come back. It's General Slauson and another guy, his assistant. I don't know the other guy's name.
No, I don't know the other.
I guess it doesn't really matter. He seems like a secretary of some sort.
Does he even have like a line in the movie?
He almost says something, and then General Slauson stops him because he mispronounces a Wendigo. He says like Windigo, and the guy starts to say something, and he's just like, "I know I said it wrong. I was just making a point."
Also, is it okay? Not to like get too pedantic about this, but also, isn't Wendigo the wrong way to pronounce it? It's like Wittigo or something like that.
It could be. I don't know the real legend. That's one of the few things I didn't look up at all.
I should know that because I have read so many stories that revolve around Wendigo mythology.
I've watched maybe endless playthroughs of Until Dawn, which is all about Wendigo.
Same thing.
That's maybe an embarrassing omission because the game is kind of ridiculous, but I like just watching different people's playthroughs where they get these inane characters killed. So yeah.
Okay. As an aside, how is there no PC port of that game?
I don't know. I would play it if it was on something other than the crappy console.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's like designed for streaming.
Well, yeah, it is streamed a lot, but people have to dig out whichever PlayStation it's on. Is it 3? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is PlayStation 3. But yeah, ridiculous. Come on, get with the times.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it is, man.
So, General Slauson says there's 4 missing soldiers and no bodies. There's no evidence to prove the story. And apparently Boyd just told him the real story. And I feel like even if you relate to his position, I don't think anybody would do that. It's like, yeah, he had powers and he attacked us.
Yeah, that's
like, are you serious? They must have been doing like the side eye with each other the whole time.
Yeah.
Is this guy for real?
Like, just omit that stuff.
No, just be like, he was a murderer and he got the drop on us.
Yeah, like, people listening to this, if you're ever in a situation like this, where you have to, like, frame a story to convince a skeptic, don't include the part about the supernatural powers. Downplay that, omit it, it's not going to help. It's just not.
Well, I would actually have the moment where they're about to say it and then they think better of it. And then they just sort of edit it out for themselves, Like, think of like Silver Bullet, where like all these people are getting killed and whichever Corey it is, Corey Haim, I think it is. He keeps insisting it's a werewolf, and it's just like, well, why couldn't you just say it's a murderer?
Yeah. Oh man, Silver Bullet. Should we do that?
We should do all things.
Well, sure. I like that movie a lot.
Oh no, I borderline love that movie because Gary Busey is just insane in it.
I love the idea of his character because like you would never have that guy
Yeah.
in like anything but like a Stephen King movie. Where it's like here's like the lovable like alcoholic who like actually he actually has a problem.
Yeah, the
But
sleazy, irresponsible uncle.
but he's like a good guy. And
He's a good guy,
really,
yeah.
yeah.
But he's irresponsible. He's just like a big kid. And
Yeah.
He also has one of the best ta-das in movie history in that movie. Ta-da!
Man, Gary Busey's great.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short,
Yeah.
don't say it's a werewolf. Don't say it's a magic cannibal.
Yes, please. Kids. Who like the children who are listening to this.
Think of
Don't
the
say it's a
children.
werewolf. Yeah. Don't say it's a werewolf. Don't say it's a cannibal. Don't say there are magic powers.
So, I mean, but they're relatively nice about it when he tells them the story, or implies, well, the movie implies that he told them everything. And they're just like,
Mhm.
listen, man, we sent you here to give you a second chance. Why don't you just take that second chance? Stop telling us crazy stuff and just, change your story. That's all we're saying.
Honestly, a completely reasonable answer.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
he's already on thin ice, so, I mean,
I mean, the thing is, I feel like there's a tendency to have like authority figures like this in movies come off as like way too stubborn and like unrealistically so.
Yeah.
But I mean, like from like if you think about it from their perspective, it's like they're being a little bit nice for to like even kind of humor this absolute coward nut job.
Yeah. This lunatic-looking man. They had to go so far. Slauson probably had to travel for weeks to come just have this stupid conversation.
I mean, you'd be pissed, right?
It probably should have just been a letter. Be like, we are advising you, or like, we've read your story, but I have amended it for you. I have included a copy.
Yeah, that's also like that's interesting to me too. Because like I kind of wonder if he was in some trouble to like be tasked to do this.
Yeah. Maybe less trouble because he gets to be in a better place most of the time.
Yeah, I guess, but it's just like who gives you that order unless you like piss someone off?
Yeah. Well, maybe he did. In the meantime, General Slauson and his assistant, who is unnamed, or at least until the credits. Yeah, wait, I think his name is Lindis or something. It's something like that. I remember seeing it in the credits, but I don't know if they even ever mention it. But anyway, his semi-silent assistant.
Mr. Janus?
Really?
Oh, wait, no, yeah, no, there's Lindis. There's a
okay.
Lindis here.
No, Mr. Janos was one of the guys that died in
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess that's his name. Anyway, the two of them introduced the new colonel, and it's an interim commanding officer. And he's like, Mr. Boyd, or Captain Boyd, I'd like to introduce you to Colonel Ives. Dun dun dun. It's Calhoun!
Oh, the whole reveal is so good.
It's wonderful.
It's like, it's great because like, you almost feel gaslit for a second. like watching the movie, it's like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. I'm almost glad they didn't do like a crazy, just sudden Dutch angle. Like you just tilt the screen, you're like, whoa!
Yeah.
It's topsy-turvy land. And no, it's great. Calhoun plays it perfectly. And then Boyd, you can see how unprepared he is for it, because he just straight up swoons when he sees the man.
Yes.
This handsome man has given me the vapors.
Oh, we'll go into that a little bit later.
I mean, rightfully so, but it just in the broader context of this movie, it's funny that he just collapses on the sight of this man.
Yeah, I know. It's like he's a like H.P. Lovecraft like protagonist.
Yeah, that's true. Almost all those Lovecraft guys would just pass out when something weird happens.
Like, oh, I saw a monster and then I passed out. It's like, what are you, like, a child?
As all men do. I passed out when something scary happened.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. I'm doing another aside, but have you ever read that like the Challenger or the Challenge from Beyond, that sort of like round robin story he did with like a couple of like horror authors and then Robert E. Howard.
No, I didn't. No.
Because they have the Lovecraft's segment ends with and then I saw the horrible thing and I passed out, and then it immediately is like round robin over to the author. You may not be aware, Robert E. Howard, author of Conan the Barbarian, and
Yeah, I knew he wrote Conan.
Well, I mean, other people might not, but so it goes right from he faints to he immediately recovers and then grabs something from the table and chops the head off of the monster, and it's that's. It's it couldn't be a more perfect representation of the difference between those two authors.
Yeah, I mean, me and my friends, we used to do a round robin writing thing. We would write almost every day, and each of us would take turns. So we only had to write maybe once every 3 days, and we would do things where, I mean, we were kids, so there was an excuse for this. So we would have characters straight up die, that the ones we didn't like. And then the next person would be like, and then they came back from the dead, and then they shot your character.
Sure. That's pretty good.
That's the professional equivalent of that. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. With grown ass men too, which is perfect.
Robert E. Howard's just passed out. What?
No, I know.
This is crap.
I wish that someone would have collected the correspondence between them regarding that story, because they commented on what everyone was doing, and it's just I
wonder if they had a terse exchange.
I can't imagine that Lovecraft was yeah, no, that's good. That's what I had in mind.
I think it would go like this. Lovecraft would be like, "Oh, well, I don't know if that's the direction I would have gone with it, Howard." And then Robert E. Howard would say, "Well, listen, I would yell at you about this, but you might pass out."
There you go.
Sick burns.
Okay. Yes. Okay. We'll get back to Ravenous, but offhand, I do think that he also literally does the feeling the power of his Anglo-Saxon blood flowing within him thing when he does it, which is it's such a a Robert E. Howard thing.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. Anyway,
I don't think I ever was able to finish a Conan book. It was never really my cup of tea, but yeah, I can relate, I guess.
They're fun.
Not to the Anglo-Saxon blood powering thing, but just the general. I'm powered by other things.
Yeah.
So Boyd freaks out, insists it's Calhoun. They're like, "What are you talking about? This doesn't make sense." And Boyd's just like, "Listen, Major Knox saw him. He'll confirm it." And it's great. Major Knox, every scene with him is wonderful. I mean, in its own stupid way. Because I don't know the actor, I've already forgotten, but he plays him as such a buffoon. It's just wonderful.
Stephen Spinella?
I'll take it.
He's been in stuff such as Ed.
Oh, the TV show?
Yes. And House of Dust? I don't know. Oh, that looks bad. Oh, that looks real bad. Oh no.
So he's a TV guy.
He was in Bubble Boy.
Oh, well, that redeems him.
Well,
everybody's favorite, Bubble Boy.
Yeah. Bubble Boy and Virtuosity.
Oh, okay, I do kind of like Virtuosity, even though that movie is a pile of crap. I don't even recommend anyone watch it. In fact, I kind of wish that you had never heard us utter the words Virtuosity. It's not good.
Yeah, no, that's cursed. We've unleashed something terrible.
It's like when you say Voldemort out loud, it'll attract Virtuosity into people's lives. Okay, it's not as bad as all that, but it's aggressively not great. I don't. It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Major Knox, he was drunk out of his mind. Well, he was always drunk out of his mind, but he was for almost the entirety of the time Calhoun was in camp. So he just says, I knew that he had a beard. Or I do recall. You know, it's just like, that's it? That's all you got? Boyd accuses him of being drunk. They start to fight, and, you know, and General Slausen's like, all right, enough. And so I think it's Boyd. No, it's not Boyd. It's Major Knox suggests, like, oh, wait, you said you shot him in the shoulder, right? Well, why didn't you prove it? Yeah. So they do one of those weird scenes where you bring in a new commanding officer and make him take off his clothes.
Seems pretty normal to me. What's wrong?
It is such a weird scene, and I think I have to thank Robert Carlyle for making it so, like, oddly, like, I don't want to say erotic, but yeah, kind of. There's something weird about it. He's just like, well, yeah. I've never said no to a group of men telling me to undress, so.
Can we just admit that it's intentional? Like, this movie is, like, intensely homoerotic.
Well, I mean, like, it might not be clear before, but it's this scene where you're just like, well, wait, is this where this is going?
Yeah. And also, okay, to be fair, I'm not saying that as, like, it's weird or, like, bad or whatever.
No,
To the contrary,
not in a bad way.
I think the homoeroticism is, like, a benefit to the movie.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's something, yeah, we got to say right away. Like, I feel like this movie earns another star in my book because it's gay. Or gayer.
Yes.
I like the additional weird dynamic of it. So, I mean,
well, like, it makes their relationship, like the relationship between Boyd and Calhoun, feel more intense. You know?
Yeah.
Because there's that sort of, like, undercurrent of that.
Well, they share cannibalism. They both know each other's horrible secret. And they have, like, that kind of odd secret understanding.
Yeah.
So for the whole scene, he's just, like, staring down Boyd. He's just like, all right, I'm going to unbutton my shirt. I'm going to just pull this off real slow. You know, It's just, like, and it's a long scene. Like, and they stay on it. And to the movie's benefit, you know, like, it doesn't hurt anything. It makes it better.
No, it really, like, the movie would be less interesting.
Yeah. And there's something about the way he reveals both shoulders where I almost feel like it's, you know, you're going to get, like, that dirty sax from, like, old, like, 50s things, like,
yes. No, absolutely. Like this, like, I'm sorry, if you haven't seen this movie, this is gonna sound like a joke, or like making fun of the movie. No, this is, like, how the scene feels.
You cannot look away. It's wonderful. It's like, what's happening here? And it's like the whole time they're just having that, you know, that weird, like, yeah, like I said, he's just staring him down.
Yes. I was gonna say, like, I have a note about this, and it's literally just the, like, show me your shoulder scene, because, like, that's just, like, you know.
I almost wish it had been, like, the calf of his foot or his leg, just so he could have, like, pulled up his pant legs. It's like,
Like, okay, that would have been maybe too much.
No, it would have been. I mean, I was just thinking how weird that is. Because they don't explain the situation to him, really. Like, he doesn't know that they're looking for a bullet wound. Mm-hmm. So he's just like, could you just take this off? and just show us some stuff? And he's just like, all right. I mean, it's a little unusual, but I'm on board.
Yeah.
No harm in this. Just a couple of guys having fun.
It's the military. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that also speaks to the isolation, which is kind of interesting, you know? I think that there's something about when you're trying to just survive and you have very few people to talk to, you have very little companionship, that unconventional relationships make a lot more sense.
Sure. Oh, I mean,
not the homoerotic stuff is wrong. Yeah.
No,
there's anything wrong with it.
No, but, like, the movie basically says as much later on.
When?
But the like, it's you know, like, it's lonely being a cannibal.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, like, that's what it does come down to, is, like, you know, it's interesting because it is such a despite how crazy Calhoun is his motivation is pretty human. He's a lonely guy. It's very lonely out there, and not even just out there, but it's lonely being a cannibal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It isn't easy eating the flesh of other humans.
I imagine so.
So yeah, there's that scene, and I guess General Slosson's like, all right, well, clearly we've proved what we needed to, so we're going to just leave now.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a very tense dinner after the officials have left. Cleves is there, and I just realized I think he's had it the whole movie, but it looks like he's got a bear tooth necklace.
Yeah,
it's just like that's kind of awesome. Or they might be bear claws, but I think bear claws are dark, so I think they're bear tooth because they're white.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I don't know. Anyway, I thought it was neat.
No, yeah, it is.
Oh wait, no, yeah, I think they're. Oh, first, this is before the dinner scene. I just realized that's when you first see or at least when I first saw the necklace. But Boyd just walks in and just takes Cleve's knife while he's working on some meat. He's just like, "You don't need this, do you? I'm not a murderer." He's just like, "No, go ahead, take it. I'll sleep better knowing you have it."
Love to let other people just have my knives.
Yeah, can I take your sharp objects? Like, oh please, I was gonna give it to you. So yeah, then they have a meal, and I love meals like this because it's it's like in Dracula when he's just like, I never drink wine. When they have all their fun little secret conversations.
Yeah. Oh god, that's I kind of want to do that one too. Because Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think that would be a good one to do. I like that movie. I honestly do.
Oh no, no, I think it's genuinely good.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. It's been a while. Except for Keanu Reeves, but
Oh,
can't have it all.
I disagree. I feel like his performance adds another layer to the movie.
Fiery inferno in the night.
Oh, Count Dracula.
Yeah, Count Dracula.
Oh my god. Who knew he would become such a beloved actor?
Right after Bill and Ted's, they're like, you know what you'd be perfect for? A Dracula film.
Yeah. Okay, I like the idea that the studio insisted that he do the Bill and Ted voice.
Yeah, I will not do this movie unless he's in this. Keanu must be Jonathan Harker.
like he wanted to do something better, but the studio was like, no, listen, you have to sound like your character in Bill and Ted, please.
Yeah. Or just like, well, I was about to go do Point Break 2, but oh no, wait, no, this is before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be a prequel for a movie I will one day do.
There you go.
It'll be like George Lucas, like he planned everything in advance, like dozens of movies. Okay, so they have a dinner. Calhoun says like, what's the matter, Boyd? You never eat meat? And Boyd says, only as a last resort. Like, yeah. I mean, honestly, the movie's made for this, and I kind of wish there was more of it. Endless, just ridiculous comments.
Yeah, I don't know, like, okay, I wouldn't say the movie's too short, but there's just like, I wish there was more of it,
There is a certain brevity to it, yeah. Well, I just realized, I was looking at the timer, we've already talked way longer than the entire length of the movie itself.
Oh,
God.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my god, we're not even halfway through. Well,
what? No, we are.
Move this right along, shall we?
We're halfway through.
Something like that. I guess it's a short movie. Maybe it just doesn't feel like it because not very much happens.
I don't know.
I don't mean that in a bad way, but yeah. There's very few actual events. There's just less people at the fort until they run out at the end,
Yeah.
Minor spoiler. So Boyd hungrily watches Arquette chopping wood through a window and just fantasizes about knocking him down and just cutting him up. I don't know why, but that scene has haunted me more than any other scene from this movie, from when I saw it back in 1999.
It's
there's-
it's sadistic.
Yeah. There's something so weird about it. It's not that. It's that there's a joyful hysteria. Because he's just cutting him open, and then just in the middle of it, David Arquette just starts just laughing hysterically while Boyd is just eating his bits.
Yeah.
There's something kind of insane about it. I don't know. It tickles me in a bizarre way. Yeah, something about taking such joy in watching someone devour you.
Yeah.
Maybe he's so medicated, it just didn't affect him as much as other people.
Could be, yeah.
Well, be that as it may, the next day comes, and Knox and David Arquette, they're playing chess on an adorable little chessboard, and Knox cheats. So almost every time Arquette looks away, he just moves a piece, and he wins. Arquette makes a silly face for having lost, like, oh shucks. Ives is in the room and Boyd is in the room, and they're all very uncomfortable. Ives, I don't know, should I call him Ives or Calhoun? I'll just call him Ives from here on out. Anyway.
Either way, yeah.
Yeah. He closes the book he's reading too fast, and so Boyd just like leaps up and whips out a knife, and then everybody whips out a knife to defend him, just like, Wah!
Yeah. I like that. That's like, it does a good job of showing how like traumatized Boyd is by all this.
Well, it makes me sad because at the beginning they were having a fairly good time eating together. Hart said that they have a good camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
And now morale seems very low indeed, where they're all just pulling knives on each other and they're like afraid of falling asleep and stuff.
Yeah.
So Boyd and Ives finally have a moment alone. I guess this is a little time later. They wander outside and have a chat.
Mm-hmm.
And Ives finally gets to speak frankly to Boyd. And he says that first he says that he found Reich's body. He didn't finish. I can't blame you, though. He was tough. The soldiers should be tough.
Yeah. Tough, hard to finish, but a good soldier ought to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. He has so much fun.
It's such a good line. I love it.
Yeah. And he explains the situation, which almost makes you feel bad for him, but not exactly.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, he mentions he was dying of tuberculosis, he had headaches, depression, suicidal thoughts, and he was heading to a sanatorium to convalesce. I don't know why he would head to a sanatorium in Mexico. Maybe it's a Catholic one.
Yeah, that makes like a weird amount of sense because he does have the little like rosary thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, maybe it does make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
I like back. That was a veiled criticism, but you know what? Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea.
He mentions that a Native American scout told him of the Wendigo myth, and then I've said he just had to try.
I mean, that's what you do, right?
And said he felt better. And then after coincidentally getting trapped in the snow with a bunch of other people, he ate 5 more people over the course of 3 months, and his tuberculosis disappeared.
All right, so now you guys know if you have tuberculosis, eat people, lots of them. You'll feel better.
That is the healing power of cannibalism.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. It would be weird if this ended up just being a propaganda film for cannibalism. Be like, you should try it!
That's what I'm saying, is like the movie makes a good case for just moderate cannibalism.
Why haven't you tried it yet? You'd be a fool not to.
Well, I mean, if what the movie's saying is true, yeah, you would be.
Yeah, there was that weird line where he said he felt happy, healthy, virile, and he makes kind of a face, and then Boyd says, did you eat her too? And then he says, well, now that you mention it. And I feel like it's implying a couple different things in a row. I'm not sure of what all of them are.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that. I'm not fully sure.
I think when he said virile, he kind of made a face. I was like, well, wait, so are you saying you raped McCready's wife? Is that what you're saying? And then he's just like, you ate her too. He's like, well, okay. I mean, all right. That's depressing.
Yeah.
I guess it was just a reason to get him mad enough to slash his hand, because that's what happens next. Just like, he pulls out his knife.
Yeah, it could just be like a psychological game he's playing with him.
It could be he's toying with him. But then again, who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
Calhoun / Ives is nuts, so he might have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Boyd cuts his hand,
Well, what? Yeah.
and Ives tempts him with the smell of his blood. Just kind of holds out his hand. It's a very vampire-y scene. You know, he's just like, you can't stop yourself, can you? You know, that whole thing. I don't remember exactly what he said, but you know, there's that whole thing about the dissipation of strength when you haven't done a bit of cannibalism in a while. So I guess there probably are limits to. Maybe it's like a battery you have to keep recharging. You know. So Boyd loses it, and he's gonna slash his throat. But then everyone comes out and sees, you know, that once again he's threatening him with a knife. This time in a more serious fashion. So Major Knox, just holding a bottle of liquor in his hand, stumbling around. He's just like, you know what? You're under arrest. Hey, you know what? Hey, somebody put him under arrest. I'm going to go lay down. It's pretty great. And I'm just thinking, I just love how casual he is about it. I bet they have to do like a calculation in their heads, because if you know that someone's arrested, that means they can't do their obligatory labor. So he's just like, oh man, if I arrest you, that means you're not going to be able to clean out the latrine, and then I'm going to have to do it. All right. So I almost think he's angry to have to put him under arrest. He's like, God damn it. All right, fine, you're under arrest.
Yeah.
Stop trying to kill everyone. So, oh yeah, actually, they're going to go get Cleves to get him to arrest him. And yeah, this must be later, because Cleves was alive in the previous scene, but suddenly he's not in this one. Yeah, spoiler alert. So Martha goes to find him in, I think, the barn, and there's full of dead horse carcasses and hanging heads and such. Very strangely arrayed with just blood everywhere. I'm not sure. I don't think it was eaten. I think it was just slaughtered. I guess it doesn't matter either way, but I was just thinking, like, who would have time to eat a bunch of horses, you know? So Martha goes to what's his name? I forgot his name. Major Knox's window, and she's just like, the horses are all dead. And then a bunch of blood pours all over her face from up above. There lays poor Cleves, David Arquette, dead on the roof.
Rest in peace, you terrible character that dragged in the movie.
Oh, I liked him. Well, okay, yeah, he didn't. I guess he didn't really fit, but I don't know. He was a lovable goof.
I guess.
I'd say most of the fort was a lovable goof.
I don't know about that.
That is the big downside of the end of the movie, is a distinct lack of lovable goofs, because they've all died terrible deaths by that point.
Yes, definitely.
So the next day, Martha is just compelled by Knox to go walk on foot to alert the authorities, which means that General Slauson has to come back again to escort Boyd to military prison. Like, hey, I know you just left probably a couple of weeks ago, but he's done even more crazy stuff, so you got to come back. I love, though, that Knox tries to keep things semi-official, where he's just like, someone's got to volunteer to go on foot. And Martha just, like, really sadly raises her hand. Like, yeah, all right.
I like her character a lot. I don't know if that, like...
Yeah.
It would be really easy to just make her, like, a character that basically does and says nothing. But, like, she has, like, personality to her, despite, like, not saying a whole lot.
Yeah. And also, she is given the wonderful gift of not being there for the end.
Yeah.
Which means she gets to live.
It's like twice in a row she lucks out like that.
Well, that's true. Yeah, both times. Yeah. It's like leaving a building the two different times a bomb goes off.
That's weirdly specific. Is that like in reference to something?
No,
okay.
I guess it should be, but it's not. Right. I was just trying to think of something, abrupt.
Oh,
or whatever,
sure,
sure.
Or
I don't want to say it's like a shooting. That's depressing. For some reason, bombs feel cleaner to me in an analogy, but maybe I'm thinking too hard about this now.
I don't know. Okay, all right. Moving on.
Moving on. So Ives is preparing a stew, and he's got so many carrots.
I
was just
also
thinking,
noticed that.
If there's so many carrots, and it's like there's a lot of onions and potatoes too. I was just thinking, well, I mean, I know they have a reserve of some sort, but like, well, why you gotta be so weird about cannibalism? You could just live off of carrots and stuff.
Sure.
I feel like he's almost wasting them because he wants to mix them into a stew with the human stuff. It's like, well, if you're gonna eat any food, it's gonna be our food. And with Martha gone, this is very easy math. So I just want to point out though that with Martha gone, it's down to Major Knox, Ives, and a chained up Boyd. They've chained him to a wall.
Yeah.
And there's just this random scene where before he prepares the stew, Ives just walks into the room where Boyd is chained up and just smacks him in the face so that he can like smell the blood on his hand after he smacked him. I don't know what that scene was. I mean, it was kind of great, but yeah, it was very strange.
Yeah, it was very abrupt.
I guess it sort of goes to the homoerotic thing again, where like it seems like they're bonding in a strange way.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, because it does feel like Calhoun is very invested in making sure Boyd is like a part of this and like getting into it, you know. So like it would almost make sense for him to be mad that he's like not awake and not experiencing it.
I guess I'm just gonna smack him away.
I don't know.
I do like I love the insanity of the scene where Boyd is chained up while Ives is making that stew with all the carrots. And he just keeps calling out to Knox, Major Knox, please say something. Just prove you're alive, please. Because it would drive you crazy if, you know, you're down to just two people. You're just like, oh, please just say the fort is still a human fort and not a cannibal monster fort.
Yeah.
And Knox is just like, shut up. You killed my horse. So I guess I can't really blame him for that. Knox asks Ives if he can help with the stew. And Ives says, oh, well, in time, you can...
Perhaps later you might contribute.
That was it. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't write it down word for word. But yeah, it's wonderful. He has the little secret smile.
Yeah.
The audience has a good laugh. It's a good time. We're all having a good time here. Knox can't find his sword. He complains to Boyd about it. I guess maybe he thinks Boyd's hiding sharp objects. I can't really blame him because he did take the knife from Cleves in front of everybody.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, maybe he took my sword too. The door is left open when Knox comes in, the door to the outside, so he closes
Knox,
it. He looks around in wonderment.
You mean Hart, right? Knox is he's
No. Well, Knox finds the door. Knox finds the door open, turns around, sees Hart, and then Hart kills him with the sword. Right. Jeez, what were you?
Because I thought Knox was the stew.
Oh, he's gonna be the stew.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought they had already.
Yeah, he said he will contribute.
All right. No.
This is the scene right before that.
That's weird. No. All right. My mistake. Anyway. All right.
Yeah, Hart kills him, and it's a big reveal. There's suspenseful music, and then you think it's going to be Ives that kills him, and then it's not. It's kind of a fun subversion. It's a pointless one, but it's still fun. He was like, oh, it wasn't Ives that killed him. It was another guy.
Surprise! It was the pedophile. The pedophile is also a cannibal.
Yeah. Ferris Bueller's Principal is back, and he looks like crap.
I mean,
he really does.
I mean, all things considered, what happened to him, he's looking all right.
He was on the brink of death.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he looks very good for someone who should be dead. But yeah, when he first shows up, he looks strangely bloated and kind of sweaty and scarred and weird looking. Which is interesting because in just a couple of scenes, he looks in the peak of health. It is actually a pretty good job with makeup. Oh yeah, he tells Boyd, "Oh, I hated doing that, killing Knox with his own sword." And then basically they just lay it out to Boyd, their cannibal proposal. It was like, "Listen, we want you, man. It's lonely being a cannibal. It's tough making friends."
Yeah.
I mean, what are the odds that you'd be able to gather up enough cannibals to have a cannibal establishment?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you'd have to. I feel like the ideal way of doing it is you create like a crazy like cannibal incest family, like Sonny Bean or something.
So, I mean, they leave Boyd chained up while he makes up his mind. Wait a minute. Oh, wait. No, wait, they are walking outside. I forget why. Maybe they don't. I think they just leave him handcuffed. Because I do remember that there's a scene where they walk out and Ives is butchering Knox on a stump with a cleaver, just hacking away. Ives leads him out to the view outside of the fort, and he has that great Manifest Destiny speech. Manifest Destiny. Westward expansion.
It's pretty great.
And he says he wants to pick off the gold-hungry Americans, just now and then. He doesn't want to break up families.
I mean, in a way, it
I don't know.
Sounds like he's doing a service. See, like
yeah, he'd be crazy not to do it.
It's like I keep saying, the movie is a proponent of moderate cannibalism. You every now and then pick off some greedy, self-serving gold hunter. Is the world worse off for it? Hard to say.
I mean, yes, actually, but I see where you're coming from. Sow a little random chaos into a greedy situation, making it worse. Yeah, I mean, what's the harm? It's like, well, there's a little harm. but yeah, it's not a bad setup. I mean, because they would totally control the circumstances. They don't need a lot of people to run the fort. And they could just, they could pick people off very selectively. It's a pretty ideal cannibalism setup.
Yeah.
If only they could just all live with themselves. But Boyd just won't do it.
Yeah, in a way, he's the villain of the movie.
Yeah. For just not being a team player.
Get with the program, man.
Come on, Boyd. You were drinking blood before any of us were doing this crap. So Boyd refuses to play along. So Ives stabs him non-fatally. He just says, acquiescence is easy. Just give in. He mentions it's a non-fatal stab so long as he makes, quote-unquote, the proper precautions.
Yeah.
So Hart prepares the stew a la Major Knox, which actually looks pretty hearty and delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
I mean, at least just visually. It looks like nice beefy chunks,
Yeah, although I don't know. I feel like the flesh of an alcoholic would be... it wouldn't taste that great.
Wonder if it would taste kind of alcoholish or
I guess, I don't know. I feel like it would I guess I don't know the science of it, but I guess it would
the science of magical cannibalism.
Well, no, I'm just saying the science of eating an alcoholic. I feel like the alcohol would give it kind of. It's because it's a poison. So I feel like it would taint the meat.
Well, Hart says that if he eats the stew, he'll heal up in no time and be twice as strong. Which I wonder if that's a thing that piles on over itself. So maybe if you eat a bunch of people in a row, you'll be that many times stronger. So if you eat 10 men, do you think you could lift a car over your head? Something like that?
I don't know, but I like the idea.
I think so. I could be wrong, but
superhero movies are big these days. They should do a superhero movie where the hero is powered by cannibalism.
Well, Venom used to eat the brains of his enemies.
Oh yeah, that's literally a cannibalism powered hero. Yeah, all right.
Yes.
That's
until they made it chocolate later.
Yeah.
Oh wait, this chemical is easily obtainable in non-brain ways, so I guess I'll just do that.
Yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry. I like Venom when he eats brains, and when he lives in a weird underground hobo city beneath New York. That was weird.
Yeah, I didn't read enough of that. Venom was of our time. He's very radical 90s.
Okay, I'm sorry. Real Venom fans would remember the time that he fought Carnage, and the two of them went all goopy, and then fought inside the internet by becoming goop and then sliding into a phone or something.
Huh.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It also makes me wonder what did people think the internet was? Because it feels like people.
I don't know.
It feels like people just thought it was actually magic, which I guess it seemed like at the time. But come on.
Yeah, it did seem very mysterious at first.
I suppose so.
So I guess I can't blame people.
Yeah, I can't fault them too hard, but still, come on.
I think it's Hart quotes Ben Franklin. No, Ives quotes him. There's two different Ben Franklin quotes right away. It's weird. So I think Ives says it first. He says, "Eat to live, don't live to eat."
Yes.
It's just that's fun,
Yeah.
and it is actually good. It's sage advice,
Yeah.
you know. And then later on, I think Hart says, "Waste not, want not." I was a little disappointed that he quoted Ben Franklin because Hart already set up earlier in the movie that he read like, Aristotle and Plato and all these people. He could have quoted anybody. He probably could have quoted them in their language. Say some Latin or something.
I mean, it fits.
Well, there's a weird theme that comes up after a while where there's like an American flag in Hart's room, or not room. Well, I mean his office. And it seems like they're alluding to something about America. I'm just not sure what. I don't know, just the emptiness and the greed.
Well, it's like I was saying earlier that the whole like Western way of life is like cannibalism in that you take and take and you don't give.
You're like a virus.
Well, no, it's like I'm not trying to sound like edgy here, but I think there's some truth to that.
I was on the verge of quoting The Matrix,
Yeah, I know, which is why I wanted to cut that off.
Spread to another place.
Because I don't think that.
Yeah, please don't stop it. Stop quoting The Matrix.
No, yeah, because I hate that quote, honestly, because it's like people are not a virus. It's the way in which some people choose to live is virus-like in like its consumption and exploitation.
I'll give you a better example, actually. We have a bunch of animals outside of my house. We feed squirrels and crows, Steller's jays, and just, I don't know, over 100 different kinds of birds with bird seed and peanuts. And we'll throw out scraps of food and all this stuff. And it's like this wonderful ecosystem. And then occasionally we get a hawk or an owl. We'll get like the apex predators will come in and just harass everything else. But we also occasionally get rats. And we wouldn't care, to be honest. Like, if we just saw a stray rat now and again, it would be fine. But rats don't ever chill out. They're always eating too much, and they always have gigantic litters. So if you see just one or two rats, they start breeding out of control when they have a present food source.
Yeah.
So there's been times where we've had almost 50 or it could have been 100 rats in this yard.
Good Lord.
That big of a yard. And so we had to start putting out poison everywhere. And my family hates poison. We're all very live and let live. And we would have given anything to have done anything else, but there was literally no choice. Rats made us kill them because they just couldn't live in balance with everything else.
Yeah.
So are we like rats, Jacob? Is that what you're getting at?
I wouldn't say inherently, no.
If we are rats, are cannibals the poison? Maybe they could keep us all in line by picking us off one by one.
See what I mean? More pro-cannibalism.
I mean, the Anne Rice books were a little bit like that. I actually read one or two of them. They had at least Lestat, Tom Cruise played him in the movie, where he would pick off criminals. So he would try to sort of justify it to himself that he's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm killing people and drinking their blood, but these people suck. So, it's fine.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty reasonable.
At least he was thinking about it.
I mean, like, a vampire is just like a, sexier cannibal.
It's a more specific cannibal.
Yeah.
That was actually a question I was going to ask you about, which do you think this is more of? Is this more a vampire movie or is this more a werewolf movie? And I only ask because the Wendigo part of it makes it seem like the escalating danger and the inability to control yourself feels very werewolfish.
Sure.
But the weird hidden connections and the preying on people and looking down on them all feels very vampire-ish.
Yeah, if I had to choose, I would say it's more vampire-ish.
It does feel. I think I agree. It feels more like a vampire movie.
Yeah.
So there you have it, folks.
Yeah, this is like basically Twilight.
Well, kind of, yeah.
Don't say that.
It's a tale about cannibal friendship.
Okay,
That's what
I would
it is.
agree with that. I would agree with that.
Last time we were actually talking about the movie, Boyd was non-fatally stabbed. So they park him in front of a fireplace, with the stew in it.
Mhm.
They're all eating their stew, and they're just kind of eyeballing him, seeing whether he'll eat or he'll just choose to bleed out and die.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it would be as immediate as all that, but I think in a cinematic sense, you have to show, very explicitly that he's like straight up dying right then and there, and he's only gonna live if he eats this stew.
Yeah.
And so he's like spurting up blood and he's swaying around, and Guy Pearce plays it huge.
Yes.
Like he's going like cross-eyed with pain and maybe hunger. I'm not sure what it is, or maybe terror.
Mhm.
I was just thinking afterwards, never in my life did I think I would see a movie where a cross-eyed Guy Pearce would just be hungrily eating stew.
Yeah, no. It's a very specific kind of scene.
He plays it so big. Yeah, I was just thinking, like, it actually helps the movie. That's the other thing. I mean, that's the bizarreness. It's like these big performances are offsetting the cannibalism.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Like, if cannibalism were a set piece on a table, it would be big and would be ridiculous and getting in the way. So it's like you have to put big stuff around it to just make it look normal or reasonable.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
have to put things that are almost the same size, so it all scales correctly. So you got to have people just like coughing up blood and just swaying around, looking like they're going to vomit while they're eating stew. Long story short, he eats the stew and he feels better. So they chain him to a wall while he recuperates. Hart comes in. He looks much better now. He actually looks great.
Mhm.
It's the best that, that the, what'd you call him, the pedophile? Yeah, it's the best he's ever looked.
Yeah. Okay, look, I didn't call him the pedophile. He is a pedophile. It's like I didn't just just make that up. Like, I was caught with child pornography. It's like I'm sorry, but
it's not slander if it's true.
Yeah. That's just what he is.
Boyd asks to be unchained. Hart asks him if he is to be trusted. And Boyd's like, absolutely not. And Hart does it anyway. I think he just likes Hart. Or not Hart. I think Hart likes Boyd.
Mm-hmm.
While they're talking, Hart brings out those walnuts he's had since the beginning of the movie. He had such trouble with them in the beginning. And now he can just crush them in the palm of one of his hands.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah.
Honestly, the most depressing thing about this scene, and this is a sad scene in general, but Hart mentions that, all of his books were taken away because he was presumed dead.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got nothing to read, for basically his immortal life. Well, I don't know if you're an immortal with cannibalism powers, but I'm sure it probably extends your life.
Yeah.
And this is that scene where I mentioned before, there's almost nothing in the scene except for an American flag in the corner.
Yeah.
And Boyd starts listing all the people that died so that they might live. And Hart's just like, I don't want to hear it. We have to kill. We have to kill to live. What is this, Thomas Hobbes up in this piece?
That's pretty good.
I don't know.
I'm smiling. You can't see it. I'm smiling. I'm not laughing, but I'm smiling.
I just it's such a weird thing to say. I guess I think it's hard. It's dawning on Hart, maybe slowly, that his life is gonna be just unbearable in this cannibal existence.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have to just keep killing people. And he was a soft, nice man who liked to read academic books, and just get quiet enjoyment from them.
Mm-hmm.
And all the while they're having this conversation, Ives is out on the wall. He's got a periscope or a telescope or whatever they call it. And he's watching people come back. It's Martha and the two men again, Lindis and General Slauson, I think.
Yeah.
He just says, breakfast, lunch, and reinforcements.
Another wonderful line.
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, just everything is gold coming out of Calhoun/Ives' mouth.
Yeah.
Hart frees Boyd when Boyd says he's going to kill Ives. But he frees him on the condition that Boyd kills Hart first, because he just can't live this way.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very quick turnaround. And I suppose you could have had all of this happen after the course of weeks or months or even years. They could have had it where they were just running the fort for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that they condense everything down to like, all right, well, this would eventually happen. So we're just going to have it happen like immediately.
Yeah.
Now, let's just skip right to it. So yeah, Hart has remorse. Boyd takes his weird walnut dagger. I don't know why he had it.
Yeah. It's weird because it
looks almost like a scythe.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like a scythe. It's an odd looking dagger.
Maybe he actually got it from some weird market or something. I mean, he's kind of a worldly fellow. He could have even gotten it from Asia. Maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Either that, or I was thinking it might be one of those parry daggers that they use for like rapier sword fights, especially when you're training.
Oh, sure.
It helps you, like, it might help disarm the opponent. I'm not positive though.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I'm not really a sword guy.
No.
Boyd goes up and stabs him in the throat, and just a fountain of syrupy blood pours out.
Yeah.
And it just covers the window.
He really dies.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because it's sort of the only kind of suicide he could do, because he's cowardly enough, he can't do it himself, but
yeah,
he doesn't make any real effort to not bleed to death. He just sort of limply holds his wound. And it's weird because he's so hale and hearty, and it's like such healthy looking blood, it almost doesn't seem that bad. It's just almost like he's just sort of falling asleep.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, that stings. All right, I'm passing out. I mean, I guess it was the nicest way to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Besides maybe decapitation or something. But, they don't have a lot of resources at this crappy little fort.
Yeah.
You work with what you got.
Exactly.
Ives discovers the mess through the window. Boyd attacks him with Knox's sword. Then Ives flees out into the courtyard. Well, then they basically just have like a long, drawn-out fight. I don't know if there's any specific parts you want to point out along the way.
No. I mean, it's really more the conclusion that matters.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're essentially vampires at this point in the sense that the wounds they inflict on one another are not that damaging or effective.
Yeah.
So they both take turns stabbing each other. Boyd stabs Ives with a pitchfork, and then Ives stabs Boyd with that scythe or dagger or whatever it is. They drop a roof on Ives. Boyd beats him with a log at one point. And I forgot. When he was looking for Ives, Boyd saw an enormous bear trap.
Yes.
And I just wrote Chekhov's bear trap. And it's like, you can't have a bear trap and then not use that bear trap.
No, of course you can't.
While he's doing this, Ives puts a bloody cross on his forehead out by the blacksmith equipment. I don't know why he does that.
And it looks creepy.
I was going to say it looks cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there is that. So he's just like, yeah, I'll do this while I'm waiting. And so I guess Boyd surreptitiously set up the bear trap because they fight their way into that room. And Ives grabs him, and they're in sort of a power hug.
Yeah. Yes.
And Boyd trips him into the bear trap. And the best part of that is that it doesn't trigger it. So, like, they're laying on the bear trap, and they're both just on top of it. And then Boyd has to, like, grab Ives' head and just bonk it against the pressure plate. It's like, block.
Yeah.
And then the bear trap comes down on them. And so they just lay there both bleeding out, crushed in a big, horrible bear trap.
Yes. Not great.
And Ives says, that was very sneaky. I mean, I guess. It might have been more sneaky if he had only gotten you with it, But then again, does he really want to live? I mean, maybe this is for the best, if they both check out.
Maybe.
And they have this weird, kind of insane conversation where Ives is just like, well, listen, if you die first, I'm eating you, and I'm going to get better. So the question is, if I die first, will you eat me? And I was just thinking, like, well, why can't you just eat him now? I mean, do you care? Are you being so polite that you're going to wait till he dies to eat him? Why not just, like, eat his face while he's laying there? I mean, that would have been so much more gruesome and horrible. Just, like, chewing on his cheek. He's like, ah!
I'm glad they didn't do that.
It's an alternate ending.
Yeah.
If nothing else, Ives is a gentleman. And he's like, I'm not going to feed on a living man. I mean, that's just outrageous.
I don't know, maybe he feels like he, won more if, Boyd eats him,
Yeah. So while they're laying there dying, General Slauson finds the stew and drinks some of it. This is just the movie being gross, and honestly, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Like, all right, sure, let's do that. Some yummy long pig stew.
Yeah.
I'm actually super sad to see Ives die. He does die first.
Yes.
He has a really long, sad, reluctant death rattle. And
Yeah.
I have to say, just in movies in general, death rattles are unusual to hear. People don't usually think of that. Because when you die, you let out your last breath, and it's almost like a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
It's like, ah. And he actually does one, and it's long, and it's like he just really doesn't want to die, but he does. Like, he just reluctantly fades away. And it made me sad. It was just like, oh man, he's gone.
Yeah.
It was a cool death, though.
No, it was. Yeah.
And Boyd looks at his face in kind of a weird way for a while, I guess debating whether to eat him. And he just sort of makes a decision for himself. He's like, yeah, I think I'm done here. I think I'll just die.
All right, later, everyone.
And it starts playing that plinky banjo again. I think it's called Boyd's Journey.
Yeah. I love that song.
Martha finds them in the bear trap. She just looks in through the door. And she's like, all right, this is cool. I'm leaving now.
Yeah.
And she doesn't help him at all.
What do you even say to that?
Well, she knows. I mean, he was talking about the Wendigo thing. Wait, does she know about Ives, though? I mean, did she know he was a cannibal?
I think she would
See, I was thinking, if she knew that both of them were cannibals, then what she does in the movie makes sense and is cool. She's like, well, hell with them. I'm glad they're gone,
I think she's...
But if she only... if she only saw the one, then maybe she's just like, well, whatever. I'm just going to let this play itself out.
I think she knew. I mean, I feel like she displays enough wisdom and, wherewithal and to, I think she knew.
Yeah. For whatever reason, she's just like, well, I'm just going to let this just happen right over here. I have to imagine that sometime later, General Slauson and Lindis would walk in there and just be like, what is this? Oh my God.
Holy shit.
No. Now we're going to have to get more dysfunctional weirdos.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he'll eat more stew. Like, oh man, I got so stressed out. I got to eat more. So the camera pulls out from their dead bodies, and you see just how enormous the bear trap really is. And the movie plays it out, and basically that's it. I mean,
yeah.
You see some mountain ranges, the beauty of the countryside of wherever this was filmed. I guess Slovakia, probably. And yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. It moves fast and it goes down easy.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've been pretty good about praising the movie. I liked it a lot. I mean, it's interesting because it's been a while since I've seen this movie, and I remember having vaguely positive feelings about it. But watching it again, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good.
Yeah. I would say that Guy Pearce is good, but Robert Carlyle is enthralling. as Ives. Like he's wonderful.
I don't think you could have made this movie with the same level of quality with anyone else. He's perfect for the role.
Yeah, I mean that also really helps carry the movie because the subject matter is so gross. You need someone really charismatic to kind of carry you over that, you know,
Yeah.
to get past it. So I looked it up, and you want to guess what this has on Rotten Tomatoes before I tell you?
It's probably pretty low.
Yeah, it is. It's 48%.
That's bullshit, by the way.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but it is an act. Well, yeah, actually, yeah, it's a travesty. It is sad. I think maybe it's just the exploitative nature of the film, the silliness, and the grossness of cannibalism's never going to get a great response. I think Silence of the Lambs will be the only time something like that will win an award.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So, there's only so much you can do with what you got here.
Sure.
Oh, this also got 46% on Metacritic.
Yeah.
So I guess the critics liked it slightly less overall.
Well, alright. They're entitled to their opinion.
You want to give it your rating?
God, that's like... So, like, where are we doing the rating? Like what's like? Well, I
forgotten already, huh?
Well, no, because we've changed it. What is our metric?
At least once. I was just it's 1 to 10 by what it aspired to be, or what it attempted to do. I guess you could say it's functional utility as a horror film.
God, that's really that's hard to say because I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it's hard to say what they were trying to do. I mean, I like the results, but the intent is obfuscated for me. I mean,
well, I think I might also factor in maybe the overall success as at least part of it.
I guess. I mean, I like so I guess by that metric, I would maybe rate it a 7. But I like the movie. I like the movie more than that.
Interesting. Well, I would say that I think this movie is a blast. It's actually a semi-decent period piece.
Yeah.
I mean, for what it is. It's just funny enough to balance out all the gruesome subject matter. It's probably my favorite movie about cannibalism. I mean, outside of Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
So, I think I might be rating this high, but I'm going to go with 8 out of 10.
Okay.
That's how much I like it. It's marked down mostly because it was a critical and financial failure.
Yeah.
They probably wanted to do more with it. Mm-hmm. I just think that for what it is, it's actually a very successful version of this film. I don't know how to describe that. I mean, it's for what they were trying to do. I think the story is very effective. It's very clean and very lean. Mm-hmm. It's it gets to the point, it gives you what you want, it gets out.
Yeah.
It doesn't overstay its welcome.
No. Yeah. When I first rewatched it, it was kind of surprising. I was like, "Oh wait, it's over," because you just kind of go with the flow.
It is, yeah. The movie goes very quick when you're watching it. Effortless, I would say.
Sure, why not?
Okay, so once again, I tracked down the IMDb keywords.
Okay, all right.
There's 197 plot keywords in total. I'm not going to be reading all that. I'm only doing the first 20.
Okay, all right.
Sometimes I don't know if it prioritizes which are more brought up, or if this is just totally random. But even if it is, I still find this to be pretty fun. So we'll just see how well this summarizes the movie. Okay. So, cannibalism.
Yeah, obviously.
Cannibal.
Sure.
Homoeroticism.
Yes. Oh man, the fact that it's
number 3.
That being number 3 is so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Twirling one's mustache.
Oh god, that does.
Does anyone do that?
He does do it.
I think Ives does.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is someone keeping count of mustache twirling films?
I don't know, but I like that it's a thing.
I hope that's
Yeah.
true. That'd be amazing. Mexican-American War.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess it is mentioned. Talking to a corpse.
Yeah.
I love when he's talking to his corpse. You're safe now. Wendigo.
Sure.
Intestines.
Boy, and
A
how
little
and
bit.
how.
Bear trap.
Yeah.
Yeah. U.S. frontier.
Yep.
Based on true story.
I
No.
mean, like,
I mean, I like that it's in here, but that's not.
no, yeah. I mean, I guess, like, in a very, very, very loose sense.
Yeah, it's very loosely based off of Alferd Packer and a little bit of Donner Parker.
Yeah.
If only Alferd Packer had superpowers,
Yeah.
he'd be alive today, feasting on people.
The world would be a much better place.
Clearly, he'd be cheating people out of other things. Okay, so next, chicken. There are chickens, and Hart does talk to them at one point. He says, "Flee, flee for your lives," as he's walking past them.
Oh. Huh. Well, that's right.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, why is that even a thing?
Because somebody cared about chickens enough to
I
mention
guess.
it. Chickens! Walnut.
Sure.
So yeah. Malnutrition.
Yes.
Sure. Weeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a fair
Yeah.
amount. Insanity. I mean,
yeah.
sure.
Kind of comes with the territory, sure.
American Soldier.
Yeah.
Title directed by female.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
United States Army.
Sure.
And, yeah, last but not least, Victorian era. That's probably true. I don't actually remember the time in which Queen Victoria is alive. It was around here. That's good.
Sure. I don't care. Whatever.
Originally, I thought it'd be funny to make a joke about saying that the Victorian era was when King Edward was in charge, but I will not make that
Okay.
joke.
Well, I also don't care about the Queen, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah. For there's the Edwardian period, which I think is after the Victorian. I don't know.
For the record, this podcast is anti-monarchist.
Yeah, we don't want to have to keep track of the reigning times of your silly, frivolous leaders. We want some dates, something we can all agree on. I don't want to know about the lifespan of your pope or your whatever.
Yeah, it's honestly bullshit.
It's the Jewish calendar or nothing. No, I'm just kidding. Have you ever looked up the Jewish calendar? It's totally nuts. I think it's like at the year 3,000 or 4,000 now or something.
Yeah, I have.
I don't remember what it is, but it's something really bizarre.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
I mean, you would recommend this movie.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a good soundtrack, and I don't think we've mentioned it enough, but the soundtrack for this movie is
Oh
amazing.
yeah, you show this movie to your family, by the way.
Yeah, don't tell them what it is. Just let them guess what it's going to be while it's playing.
Yeah, it's like playing a fun little prank.
I really would recommend you check out this movie as long as you feel you have the stomach for it, as it were. So until next time, I've been Peter.
On that note. And I'm Jacob, still.
And this has been Gorman on Gore.
Later.
annoying.